Hey, all you horror-loving smut fans. Welcome back to Blood, Books, and Binge-Watching. As always, I am one of your hosts, Megan.
And I'm your other host, Rachel.
Today, we gather round to experience the emotional roller coaster that is a Light in the Flame Part 2. Everyone clutching their pearls? No? Please do so now.
I know I am. We've got quite a trip planned today with the second half of this book. Or rather, JLA has crafted a particularly jarring and frustrating second half. We can't say much. Sorry, hold on. I put a fake eyelash on and I thought it was flying off.
Oh, no.
Hold on 1 second. Okay. One second. I might just take them off. I was trying to be extra. This is what I get. Okay, if it comes off, it comes off. We can't say much because of future spoilers, but the way that this book ends, we are banging our fists against the wall like Adam Driver in that one really sad movie with ScarJo.
Correct.
Before we dive in, I'm taking it off because I'm not going to have it fall on my forehead. Okay, we're going. Before we dive in, we just have a few quick little announcements. One of our other favorite authors, Rachel Gillig, One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns, her new release, The Night and the Moth, just came out on May 20th, and we're so excited to eventually read it. I just had to give big ups to her because we love her so much.
Yes.
And for our countdown, for our Blood and Bone Ball countdown, we're at 50 days. 50 days.
50. Yes. Oh, I can't come soon enough. Cannot come soon enough. Oh my God.
So we're getting there. We're getting there. And last announcement, super important. Happy Pride Month, everybody.
Yay, happy Pride. Woo!
I think I can speak for both of us. Megan and I are so honored and just glad to be a safe space for anyone who joins in, a part of the LGBTQIA plus community. We love all of you. You're beautiful. This is a safe space. Happy month. We love you guys. And
we love you so much.
Yes.
Glad you are here. Glad you are here all the time. We love you. No point in delaying the inevitable any longer. Let's hop right into our plot with chapter 26. And real quick before we really get started, we're going to throw up a general trigger warning for sexual assault in this section, and we'll obviously make sure to give you a heads up, along with other, more minor content warnings along the way. Chapter 26. Sera realizes that being closer to her ascension is closer to her death, and it's going to take Nyktos' love to save her, if we all remember that little nugget. The next morning, Sera and Nyktos are leaving the palace, headed to the stable, and Sera has decided that Nyktos does not need to know how she feels, because that's healthy, and that, doesn't need to know that she cares for him. Let us put the surprised eyebrows on.
Yeah.
Whoa. Wow. And a detail worth noting, Nyktos has a man bun in this moment.
So hot. Love a good man bun.
Not my most favorite, but cannot deny the attractiveness of a man bun. Sera's reminiscing on a certain spicy activities given said hot man bun when Nyktos asks her what she's thinking about. That's not going to snap her out of it at all.
Right.
And she attempts to throw him some sass, and then bam, he shadow steps, holds her up against a wall of the stables, and kisses her right on that mouth.
Oh, right on the mouth. Oh.
Per usual, it's fucking hot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They enter the stable, and Nyktos introduces Sera to a horse named Gala. Like a Gala apple is all I can think of.
Yeah.
She's almost as big as Odin and has a roan pattern, which is like white hairs on top of a black base. It gives off like a very faint blue kind of vibe. It's a very beautiful kind of coat.
Yeah, it's my personal favorite.
It's a great choice.
Horse girlies unite.
Yes. This is also Sera's wedding gift. Horse is a wedding present. Yes, please.
Mom.
Pretty please. Sera then proceeds to lift herself into the saddle, which for anyone who does not ride horses, that's not easy, by the way. And Nyktos follows her lead, doing the same thing, but not onto his own horse, but her horse. So, a swoon pirate horseback ride.
We love it.
We're done for.
Yep.
So as we're trekking along, Nyktos tells Sera that she was right and that he hasn't accepted this way of life. He's been searching for a way to destroy Kolis since he ascended. So it's a long time searching for a way to stop him. So if Nyktos were to go to war with Kolis, it would be a war of primals, and it would spill into the mortal realm. and hundreds of thousands would die in the process. And, not to put bad news on top of bad news, but Colas has already started turning his sights on the mortal realm as well. So we're going to do a little mini Colas lore and more reasons why he just sucks in general.
Mm-hmm.
He believes all mortals should be in service to the primals and gods. Their lives should be dedicated to serving those, quote, more evolved than them. And failure to even bow before a statue of a primal could result in death under Colas's rule.
I
But,
smell dictator.
we were gathering a whiff of the dictator.
I don't like it. It's not good.
Not at all. Nyktos believes the plan to move the embers into himself will avoid said war because it would strip Colas of his title of King of Gods. So, no awful King of Gods, no war, one would assume. They begin to slow as they approach where the red and dying woods are meeting, and they go off path. Sera then wonders how the forest would appear once the rot vanishes, and she makes the decision that she is actually going to be here to see it. She makes her decision!
We love a confident queen. Yes, girl.
Mm-hmm. To quote the book, from Sera's point of view, it says, "It reminded me of removing a too tight bodice, a release even more tantalizing than what I felt in Nyktos' arms, accompanied the excitement over deciding something as simple as wanting to see the leaves of a tree under the sun. But it was my decision, my choice, no one else's. Not my mother's or an ancestor's. Not Nyktos', not even Fate's. All mine."
What a good
Hell
feeling.
yes. Just the confidence booster, like, what's the word I'm searching for? Like, just the solidification of just, like, having that, final stance of being like, actually, yes.
Yeah.
I am
Especially
doing this for myself.
coming from a previous, kind of still people pleaser, but growing out of it. I felt that really hard. I'm like, yeah, it is a good feeling. Take off my bodice.
Big time. Sera sees a vine has sprouted from the dead soil at the base of a blood tree, and tiny buds are scattered along the vine. She sees that one has blossomed, and it has petals the color of moonlight, still folded and closed, with a thin line of crimson. The puppies. And she's also now notices a change in the color of the sky. So they're approaching the pillars and the abyss. But the color of the sky is like a bit of a grayish color, and it is that way because it is smoke from the pits.
Oh,
the
pits? What are the pits?
The pits of endless flames, where souls that committed the most atrocious crimes go. That's where Tavius's new home is. And so we wave and say, "Hi, bitch boy. How's it going down there? Hi."
Love that for him.
Oh, yes, we do. Clouds appear, which is odd for this environment, and Sera feels the embers begin to vibrate. Turns out these are in fact not clouds, it's the mist, and there's dark clumps within it. Bodies! There's bodies in the mist, and they are just drifting around in there. Nyktos, who's with them, if we've forgotten that, Nyktos clarifies that
he's there too.
Nyktos is here too, in case we forgot. He clarifies that it's the souls of the recently deceased who are awaiting to enter the pillars.
No.
So, like, DMV hell.
That's me. That's me. I thought it was the DMV. I don't know why.
No, your brain went DMV, mine went Hercules. Brains work in different ways. That's one of the great things about this pod. The pillars pull on the embers since they are responding to the souls. So much so that it said Ethos could only handle being near them for a couple of minutes. But Sera is here, not really being affected whatsoever. Nyktos asks Sera if the instinct is draining her at all, and she says it probably doesn't affect her as much because she only has 2 embers. So, I get it. Makes sense. But also, the continuation of the downplaying.
Yeah, she's downplaying her ability. Like, Ethos, who's like the big primal of all primals, right? Like, primal of life. He could only handle a few minutes. And here's Sera. She's just like, what?
Oh, this is a problem for you guys?
Power being a woman.
Oh, yeah. Very, very woman on her period, living her day-to-day life and doing what she has to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Be like, what? This is a problem.
And don't even get me started on when you're going through postpartum, how you're expected to just pick it up and carry it on. Anyways.
I literally could not imagine. Nyktos then replies to Sera after downplaying herself, saying, "You're stronger than you realize, Maya Lisa." It's like,
Never get over that
Really?
title.
I'm kicking my feet. So our party arrives at the pillars, and the pillars are covered in markings similar to the ones in the Shadow Temple. So it's a circle with a vertical line through it. A crossroads appears with 3 horsemen that are cloaked and hooded in white. Their names are Polymus, Penia, and Loimus, and that's how I'm gonna go with
That's
it.
how we're going with it.
That's what, in a bit easier terms, they are war, pestilence, and hunger.
Got it. Think this sounds like an allegory.
Yeah, they are called the Riders of the End, and when they ride, they bring the end to wherever they travel because death always follows them. They can only be summoned by the true primal of life, and they bow to Sera. So the literal, what is it? Freaking gods of the apocalypse
Yeah.
are bowing to Sera.
No big deal.
Okay.
No big deal.
Moving on, reaching the entrance to the Vale, Nyktos says that he can't go any farther, which we knew, and he dismounts, then straps his swords to Gala's side and gives Sera the reins. Nyktos tells Nyktos that Sera is very important to him, and I wish Nyktos in this moment said, "No shit, Sherlock."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
And then in that moment, Sera then blurts out, I want to be your consort, Nyktos."
Word vomit.
Just gotta get that out there real quick. And in response to that, Nyktos lifts Sera's hand to his mouth and gives her a kiss on her knuckles, kisses her palm, and says, "I'll be waiting for you, Lisa." Are you kidding? Not that I'll be waiting for you.
Oh.
It's Wednesday, my dudes. That's all I can think of when I do that. Chapter 27, Sera and Nyktos have now entered Delos, and it is encapsulated in sunlight. So, in that moment, I did indeed forget that in the Shadowlands there is no sunlight.
Yeah, same here. We just assume that it's like bright and happy there. It's not.
No, you'd think Shadowlands would clue that in, but
not for us.
No, we need that reminder every so often. The roads are made of crushed diamonds. No big deal. And Nyktos says that the Vale was formed by the joyous tears of the most ancient primals and gods.
Interesting. Boy. Okay.
And these diamonds are also everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere.
Bougie. Bad and bougie.
Nyktos asks Sera in a very affirmative manner, per Draken, if she cares for Nyktos, and she replies that she does. See how easy that was, Sera? Nyktos responds with, "I know," and the manner of the Draken continues, we love them.
I feel so seen with them. I feel so seen.
I appreciate their directness so much. It's like, at a certain point, I'm like, is it because it's just the Draken way, or is it the Nyktos raising Reaver way?
I also appreciate them because they can't read a room.
True. They really can't. Are the Draken kind of, okay, we can cut this out if it's weird, so I'm going to pause and then go back into it. Feel free to tell me, like, absolutely not. How could you say that?
No, you're good.
So, like, might be a weird take. Are the Draken kind of autistic? Because I don't know much about autism, but it reads like they're very literal. They have the poor social cues. They just speak their mind how it is.
100,000%. 100,000% autistic coded. Because with the autistic brain, and yeah, it's not offensive at all. And I speak from being a parent. With my son, he's not focused on like brand names, and he's not focused on like, being popular. He's not focused on the social fitting in aspect. All he cares about is animals. That's it. And if you're wrong, he's like, no, you're wrong. So anyways.
Yeah, a light bulb burst in my head. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is what it reminds me of.
100%. Yeah.
Sera reveals her conflicted feelings on where she stands now, and she says a part of her would say yes to this marriage because she would do anything to save Lasagna, but the other part of her also says no because, like, making your own choices.
Mm-hmm.
As the conversation continues, the removal of Ash's cardia is brought up, and Nyktos reveals that it wasn't until Colas loved and lost that he changed. So he says love can breathe life and inspiration into one, and the loss of it can taint and rot the mind of another.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, Ash fears loving and losing someone and what he could turn into if he did. So he doesn't fear becoming his father, he fears becoming his uncle.
No.
Tragic.
Yeah.
Sera says that caring for someone and loving them are two separate things and that it's impossible for Ash to feel such a thing. Claims she doesn't love Ash, she just cares for him.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest eye roll. So yeah, at this point, let's cue Megan the Muses from
Yep,
Hercules.
100%. I won't say I'm in love. That was horrible.
Someday I will do that at karaoke.
Yeah, one day.
Nyktos calls her out for saying that she doesn't even know what love feels like. So it's like, yeah, well then how would you know?
Yeah.
And Sera admits that love terrifies her. And it's like, yeah, it terrifies us all. It's kind of a trait.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, caring versus loving, are they that different? Thank you, Nyktos. Sera changes the subject by asking Nyktos if the entirety of the Vale looks like their current environment. And Nyktos reveals that the Vale is ever-changing and accommodating a soul's ideal paradise, becoming whatever they desire, which is really cool.
That is pretty cool.
And Arcadia is the same. So, nice. And we also get a tiny lore alert that the mist is actually called the Shroud, and it's made of primal mist and hides the veil from those who do not enter through traditional means. So, it reminds me of, like, essentially the primal mist that the Atlanteans use From Blood and Ash to hide Atlantia. Sera hears a beautiful melodic singing from the distance at this point. And it's like, wow, it's almost like it's pulling her towards the singing. And like, that sounds familiar. Could it be? We have sirens, everybody. So like, I guess the sirens aren't sirens. We are very sorry, JLA.
Yeah, we're gonna have to check the compendium for that because I can't remember what the sirens are.
Oh, the siren are the ones that can shapeshift into like mermaids. From what I gathered.
Oh, okay. Kind of like a kelpie, maybe.
Kinda.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what I got the vibe of. Yeah. Okay. So because you figure these shape-shifting water-dwelling people are called siren.
Right.
You think that's just a reworking of the name siren.
So we have in our mythological creatures, we have vampires, we have werewolves, we have wyvern that aren't wyvern, they're actually cave cats. We have sirens and sirens. Is that it? Is that our inventory? Oh yeah, and then all the other monsters. We got a lot going on.
We got a lot, and we're gonna meet another. We haven't even met my favorite monster yet. I can't wait till we get to my favorite monster. So, but first about sirens. So sirens are the guards of the Vale, and only the Draken and Descended can travel into the Vale. When the sirens sense a threat, they sing to lure said threat into the Shroud and get them. We continue on our journey then, being like, okay, bye sirens. We continue on our journey towards some spiky, terrifying looking cliffs and mountains made of pure shadow stone. Not intimidating at all. The pools are indeed underneath that terrifying hellscape. So entering the cave, it's pitch black in here, and we're all scared. Sera begins some breathing exercises, and like, same babe.
Same.
Nyktos says, "Are you claustrophobic?" And I would say, "Sure am."
Yeah.
Bye. We gotta turn around now.
Yeah.
Nyktos tells Sera, because it's one thing that it's claustrophobia. It's another that it's a cave-related claustrophobia.
That's on my top 10 of most hated environments. Like, even reading about it makes me like just very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Not that I'm not going to allow us to get on a tangent. I'm just going to ask and move on. Have you seen The Descent?
Yes, I knew it. Great. Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm right there with you.
We got to do an episode on that someday. Yep. I love those movies.
I want to vomit. Let's go.
Anyway, Nyktos tells Sera that he can smell ash on her and that she's actively dying.
Great.
Thanks,
love
Nyktos.
That.
We knew that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, at least. Well, at least the readers might have, since we've seen Poppy's journey. And saying death carries the same scent of life, but weaker, which is lilacs. Oh, a lot of lilacs being brought up, so now we have a connection here.
Interesting.
They continue on a tunnel and move deeper under the mountain, and Sera can hear water and see sunlight peeking through the crevices. And as they descend, Sera notices the air is much more humid instead of cold. And then what does she end up seeing? a fuck ton of lilacs.
Oh my goodness.
What a world! So lilacs represent renewal, and seeing them near a body of water is an indicator of a gateway to Elysium rather, specifically to Delos, and the other gateways lead to the Shadowlands. So a waist-high kind of rocky outcropping that forms a jagged circle comes into view, and this is the pools of Divanash! We did it! We did it! We did it! Yeah, we did it. Sorry, Dora. Sera, now at this point, in order to get the pools to work, she must spare a drop of blood, admit a secret, so, quote, an answer for a truth, one not known to others, likely not even to oneself. Which, if you've read ACOTAR...
Thought of the Ouroboros mirror.
A little bit.
Thought of the...
And then you ask who and what you are looking for, and the pools will answer. And then at relaying this information, Nyktos then says that he's actually never seen the pools work.
Love this.
Cool.
Love this.
Thank you so much for saying this as we're getting here.
Love it.
Nice. Sera then says, okay, well, nothing else to do but go. She pricks her finger and shares a memory of when she purposefully took too much sleeping draft, and that it wasn't an accident. She actually did not want to wake up. And as soon as the blood hits the water, it begins to bubble, steam's rolling in, mist is going crazy. It's like all sucked back into the pools. It's like, what's happening? We'll take that as a yes.
Did it work?
You'd like to, but not quite yet. At this point, now she says her request. And she says, show me Delphi, the god of divination, please. And the water reveals the scene of an ivory stone manor with pine trees behind it. That disappears. Then we get the image of a person. So we see Delphi, and he's talking to someone with long, thick, brownish blonde hair, pink sun-kissed skin, a heart-shaped face, bright green eyes. And it's the Princess of Ireland, Kaylee motherfucking Balfour.
Let's go.
If we remember her, she was betrothed to Tavius, if we remember them. Nyktos wants to connect Delphi and the Princess Kaylee's meeting as an act of fate. Sera's like, well, she was gonna be married to Tavius. And speaking of, Nyktos is like, oh, speaking of Tavius, Ash enjoys visiting him in the abyss. And he does it, quote, more often than with any other soul in a long time.
Love that. Really packing on the brownie points.
Man, I love a good bonus chapter that's like some extra little smut or something, like an extended smut scene. I want to see that bonus chapter.
For sure.
Of Nyktos visiting Tavius. Please.
That'd be great.
We didn't know this at the time, but, well, we kind of knew, but I don't know how deep diving it kind of went into in the book at that point. But Sera helped Kaylee get out of the marriage by giving her a potion to make her sick, and essentially had to return home, therefore making an excuse like the air is not kind to her, like it gives her allergies or something.
Yeah.
Essentially never coming back. So the marriage never happened. Tavius is dead, so she's scot-free. Sera, a girl's girl, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And Nyktos goes on to say that fate is not absolute, only a series of possibilities. So mortals were created in the image of the primals with the ability to feel emotion and free will, therefore making them like an ever-changing variable, so hence the fate not being absolute. Sera asks if primals have free will, and he says they did not in the beginning. He says, nothing is more powerful, more life and realm altering than the ability to feel. And like, yeah, I would imagine not being able to feel anything would be quite terrifying. And Sera and Nyktos conclude their side quest and return to the crossroads. They see creepy riders are there, so like our 4 horsemen up there, but no Nyktos rather.
Yeah.
As they are riding along, Nyktos asks Sera if she's okay, assuring her that not everyone can always be okay, and he offers his solidarity when she needs it. And
love that.
their relationship is so cute. A very strong friendship is brewing here. I can't wait to see more of it. After this super emotional moment, Nyktos orders them to halt and can smell they're about to have company, so he goes into full predator mode and start like scanning the land. Who could this be? Sera focuses her sight and can see some movement in the distance, then goes to grab her sword. But Nyktos says not to strike first, as they might be able to pass by unharmed, unscathed, if they ride slowly. It's like, what? So now we are at my favorite monster, nymphs. So nymphs were normally kind, beloved, benevolent creatures that lived in the forests and lakes in Elysium. They lived in harmony with the land and friends of dragons, primals, and gods. So, like, your typical what you would think of as a nymph. Like, they're happy, cute, lovely forest creatures. But they became corrupted when Colas stole Ethos's embers, and now they feed off pain and torture. Awesome! And the only way to fight them is by removing their heads. Nyktos says there could be hundreds of these in the area, but he only sees about a dozen near the road.
It's horrifying.
As if that's less horrifying.
Yeah.
So they slowly continue on. Sera starts to see a bit more, and she sees like a foot latched into the bark of a tree, and like the climbing and the like latching. The rise is finally in view, so it's like, we're home free. Not yet. Because one of these creepy fuckers is crouched in the center of the road. And I hate that.
I hate it. I hate it and I love it at the same time.
I know. And like reading this, I was like, this is scary as fuck and I love it. This is why we have a horror podcast, because this is the shit that we love. So it has hunched shoulders, almost blending into the road. So it's like a boulder. It has skin like bark with talons on the ends of their hands. And it has cracked and distorted facial features. And are hairless with a crowd of jagged exposed bone.
That's terrifying.
They are so creepy, but they sound like they look so cool. They look so cool.
Can I be your friend?
No, because they say, I want to hear you scream. I want to see I want to see you bleed like a stream.
They speak in rhyme.
Creepy rhyme. As if it couldn't get worse.
Horrifying.
The nightmare nymph runs at them, and Nyktos draws and throws a dagger, which lands right between the eyes. So the nymph is now hissing and naturally has alerted the entire horde that's waiting in the woods.
Great!
Awesome! Nyktos and Sera each take a side and fight them off, and they're speaking as they are continuing to speak in rhyme. Sera then, in the middle of fighting, calls one of them out for it, for not making sense.
She's like, you're so stupid.
Yeah, we love her for it. And as one goes for Gala, no. Sera says absolutely not, and starts like feeling the emotions start stirring the embers, and heat floods her veins, and silvery white light crowds her vision, and ether then spills from her hand straight into the nymph. Light shines through all of the cracks in the nymph's skin, and ether pours out of its mouth and eyes, and it explodes.
Woo!
Okay. And then Nyktos is like, only the primal of life can wield the strength that could do that. So this is the same kind of power that can kill another primal. Big yikes.
Isn't that whole like interaction the same that happened with Cressida at the beginning of the first Flesh and Fire book? Didn't she do that to the guy? Remember when Sera first stumbled upon them?
Yeah, she did. You're right.
So that's interesting.
Okay, but she wasn't the primal of life either.
I know.
Maybe it's because that was a that was immortal.
Yeah, it was. Okay, never mind. I was like, wait a minute.
So, I mean, it is using it in a similar fashion, for sure. But yeah, I think different skill or power level related to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
After that, it's a quiet ride back, and yeah, I would be traumatized as fuck. And Sera's mind is running as expected. Once they return to the palace, Nyktos leaves to find Jadis, and Sera's off to find Nyktos. As she approaches his office doors, she feels the embers wiggling and grins to herself. And in this moment, all I can think of is Step Brothers. If you haven't seen Step Brothers, I'll quickly tell you what it reminds me of. Catherine Hahn has a moment where she looks at John C. Reilly, who has like, you know, his little like curly head, and she says, I want to just ball you up and shove you in my vagina. And every time I feel the tickle of your hair, I'll know it's you in my vagina. Oh, she feels the embers wiggling around because of Nyktos. I'm like, oh, she feels them in her vagina.
My mom and I quote that movie all the time. Stay golden, pony boy.
Oh my god. It's an amazing movie. I fucking love it. I almost wore my Prestige Worldwide t-shirt today too.
I have a boats and hose shirt.
When we meet up, gonna have to do a paired shirt.
I'm bringing it to the ball. Yes, I will be my PJs.
The excitement is short-lived as Sera opens the door and stops dead in her tracks because Nyktos is on the settee and his body language is very tense. He's also not alone. There's someone in his lap, a female in this beautiful violet gown, and she's straddling him while gripping his shoulders and moving against him. This is the primal of rights and prosperity, Vessies.
Fuck. Some
So,
bitch.
excuse me. So, chapter 29, we're going to kick this one off with a quick content warning for anxiety attack, panic attack. Of course, JLA goes into it in much more detail, but it's still a pretty intense moment here.
Yeah.
So, of course, Sarah's taken aback, to put it lightly, and trying to rationalize what the hell she just walked in on. Like, she just told him she wanted to be his consort. He called her Lisa, pretty much accepting, like, wow, I'm so happy that you're saying that.
Right.
And now here he is.
He's got some girl straddling him, sucking his blood. Love that.
And Vessies is moaning, and her emotions, Sarah's emotions, begin to come just in waves. Like, she is not able to control this. Then Vessies lifts her head from Nyktos' neck and looks over to Sera, whose eyes widen and she licks blood off her lip. So she was feeding from Nyktos. Sera can feel Vessies judging her appearance, and we just want to hug Sera while also slapping the stupid smirk off Vessies' face, because how dare you make Sera judge herself. Nyktos then opens his eyes and is like, what's happening? Sees Sera has entered the room, and in that moment, Sera stumbles back into the door to leave as Vessies laughs, because she's a fucking see you next Tuesday.
Yep.
And I hate her. Sera's obviously in emotional distress because nothing has ever hurt like this before. Ever. She makes her way down to the cells, and her mind is completely racing at this point, questioning every decision she's made up to this point of, letting her guard down with him, traversing into this unknown territory.
Yeah.
Sera gets down there, sees the stone table, recalling the intimacy between them that happened there, and the hurt is now transforming into pure anger. Yes, girl. She feels the air begin to charge around her, and then it stills. The stone table then shatters into ashes, and the wall and floors around her begin to crack.
She's
my
pissed.
God.
She's pissed.
Pissed. Attempting to collect herself, good luck, Sera realizes she's breathing too fast, but can't seem to find any tether to hold on to, nothing to ground her. And Sera has her hands on the floor, cracks are spreading all over the place. The embers are vibrating, the white vision starts to come over her again. There's a lot happening right now. And then roots begin to emerge from the cracks in the floor and wrap over her hands like vines, moving up her wrists and arms. Then suddenly Sera feels arms sweep around hers, and then she's pulled back against a chest, and the vines are breaking and turning into ash as soon as they hit the ground. And if you're wondering, oh, who could this be? Oh my, it's Nyktos. Who'd have thought? And he's shouting her name, but she is not hearing him. Roots are reaching up over both of their legs at this point, and Nyktos tells Sera she needs to slow her breathing. And he tries talking her through her breaths and continues fighting off the roots, telling her to make his voice her only focus. As if he is the one that you want to hear from right now.
Right. It's like having a panic attack, and the one guy that sent her into the panic attack is here trying to calm her down. Are you kidding?
I'm being propelled back into the past because I did it. I fell for that shit.
Yeah.
100%. Yep. Yeah. Unfortunately, and then I slept over. Don't do that.
We can't beat ourselves up though, because
no, we can't. The frontal lobe.
Not your fault.
And so Sera finally begins to listen to his instruction, and it's because it's kind of triggering those similar teachings that she got from Holland, as far as her breathing exercises.
And yeah. And just very quick, I completely forgot about this experience I had until I read back through this. So when I was in high school, I had this big group of friends. One of my friends went into a full-blown panic attack. I shit you not. I got did not know what to do and just instinctually got on the ground and did exactly this, had him pulled back to my chest and was having him breathe with me. So reading through that pulled that memory from my mind, and it's just just, reiterate how important human connection is and how just having someone there to pull you back down. So anyways, just wanted to share that real quick.
No, thank you for sharing. Rain is here and says, it's not working. You've got to stop this. And he goes on to say that Nyktos needs to, quote, do it now.
Do what?
Or what happens next is going to be detrimental. Yes, do what?
Do what?
So Nyktos begins to apologize to Sera, and we're like, oh no, what the fuck's about to happen? He touches his forehead to hers and tells her to stop fighting and listen to him. And Sera then stops struggling and says that once more she became an empty vessel, a blank canvas. And the last thing that she hears, the last thing that like reaches deep within her, takes control, is sleep. And of course it has its own lore meanings within this universe, but as far as just like the blanket imagery of this moment, like when you're in this state of a panic attack, it's so easy to retreat inward and like pull away. And Sera in this moment being like physically eaten, encircled by vines, like separating herself from everyone, consciously or not, which sometimes you end up doing when you're having one of those anxiety panic attacks as well. So I thought that was really cool. A very accurate pairing of like description, while also I'm sure we will find out having like lore meaning to why it was that way, why it was behaving like that. Chapter 30, Sera dreams of her lake and she's swimming even though she actually never learned how to. And there's a white wolf watching her on the bank. Here, time is non-existent, and she feels at peace. Then she hears her name and wakes up to be very disoriented. And Bella's here. So taking in her surroundings, Sera realizes that she is in the Primal's bedchamber, not Nyktos' bedchamber, and everything that just happens begin to pour back into her memory. Rain enters, asking Sera if she's in any pain, like, do you have a headache? Do you have jaw pain? That's quite specific, but she says that she is not. But he's asking about those specific pains because we know she could enter the culling at any point, really. It's just a matter of time. He helps her to sit up, and Sera feels like a spark of energy at the point of contact, strong enough to elicit a reaction from Rain. And we're like, well, that's familiar. As Sera repositions the blanket, it falls. The blanket that she's covered in falls, and she realizes that she is naked. And Rain informs her that it would have been probably Ios or Bella who actually like cleaned her up and got her changed because Nyktos didn't want her to wake up in filth.
And I say snaps for respectful behavior on Nyktos' part.
I say the bar's on the floor. Like, wow, how kind of you to not want her to wake up dirty and covered in filth.
But,
thanks.
I should have put a disclaimer at the beginning of this episode for everyone listening. This is about the point in time where I start shoving my Nyktos soapbox at Megan. So for all the Nyktos girlies listening, you're welcome. I'm putting the work in for us. Okay.
She's trying. Because no, I like my Castile boy.
I like him too. I like him too.
He's got to do more. He's got to do more.
Can we turn this into a why choose, It is a multiverse.
I mean, yeah. But at this point, we know that Poppy is Sera and Nyktos' ancestors, so maybe not.
It's gonna get weird.
Gonna get real weird.
Let's go.
Please no. So yeah, anyway, I am very much on this side of the fence of I don't like Nyktos.
Rachel's I'm like in the middle swimming around here.
And so, yeah, after Rain explains all that, Sera asks what happened, and Rain's like, I was hoping you could tell me. Because
great.
He shares he's never seen anything like what happened, even from a primal in the culling.
Fuck.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Well, fuck. And he also tells her it's been a while since she last ate. And, how long are we talking? He tells her days.
Damn.
Days you've been asleep. So now we're going to learn a bit about the culling and stasis. So we get a lore alert about the culling. Some more information that we don't actually know.
What?
So in stasis, your system shuts down to give itself time to rebuild depleted energy required for when you're in the culling. We also learn that if gods haven't been feeding, they can sleep for weeks. But most in their culling wouldn't survive that, level of energy depletion. So the roots are intended for protecting a primal while asleep, and those roots keep them connected to the realms. So those roots that were growing around Sera is protecting a primal while they sleep, which is why they were like, you are shoving yourself into the culling. Don't
Right.
do that.
Yeah. Wow.
So just like imagine if our bodies forced us to sleep for days if we overworked.
Love that.
Like forced 4-day work week because we're required to have 1 full day of sleep. Sounds great
It'd
to
be
me.
amazing.
Yes, please.
It'd be amazing.
Sera says that she's not a primal, so what the hell is up with the roots? And this is the moment where I smack her across the face and be like, how much more fucking evidence do you need?
Yeah, we're getting a
Anyway.
lot of context clues.
We are. And Bella says that she has the primal embers in her, so it basically is a failsafe. And Rain tells Sera that she needs to be careful because the next time she goes to sleep, she might not wake up. Terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Bella shares in this moment, shares her ceremony wishes for if she dies during the culling, and she describes it as like she wants people to be blubbering, sobbing,
like snot-faced, crying, and just so sad, and I love that.
Yes, it's like, you know what? Yeah, get after it. Everyone should be that sad. Nyktos did in fact use the compulsion on Sera to put her to sleep. And how do we feel about this? In this moment, I am fine with it. It's not my biggest problem with this whole scenario.
It was necessary. She's like losing her shit.
Yeah,
Like, not
no,
in her right
100%.
mind at all. Because
Yeah.
if anyone's ever had a full-blown panic attack, you know that you're like not coherent. At least that's how it is for me.
Not that it's something you should do and we don't recommend you do, but like there's a reason in movie and TVs why like when people are in shock or having a panic attack, they like slapped out of it. Don't do that, but it's a representation of like the compulsion. It's like, oh, you got to just like snap them out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't slap people in a panic attack. But as
I did see a video. I saw a TikTok video. This woman, she I don't know what grade her seizures are, but she does get seizures. Her and her husband will film for awareness, and he carries a spray bottle with him because no, I'm dead serious. And she consents to it. Like that is their method. The minute he sees her start seizing, he sprays her in the face. And so they record when they're out for awareness. And people at cashiers are like, the fuck is wrong with you? And he's like, no, it's a medical condition.
It's a medical condition that requires I spray her with a bottle like a dog.
But it does. In what they record, it does bring her out of it.
Wow.
So
incredible. I mean, whatever works. It's like, I only question the fact that they go out in public and do this for content. That's the only part of it I question. Hey, you handle your medical needs however you have to, in whatever way that you got to that works for you.
Yeah.
Doing it in front of people for content is another thing.
I know.
I can't imagine seeing that in public. Like walking down the street, a woman starts to shake or like however she presents.
Yeah.
And then just starts getting sprayed in the face with a spray bottle.
Yes. Oh my God.
Like, there's got to be like, she's got to be wearing something that says I consented to this or something. Like, it's the way I would run up on that man and start beating his ass. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm sure there's a lot of context missing. It's just content. But like, wow, that's insane. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Man, humans are wild creatures.
Yep.
So Rain explains that if Nyktos hadn't used the compulsion, that Sera essentially would not be here right now. They probably wouldn't be either because she likely would have brought the castle down with them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The best guess of what was happening is that Sera was forcing herself into ascension.
Right.
Yeah, and we really love and got to take note of the inner dialogue that Sera has here, saying that she didn't force herself into shit because everyone has just been telling her what she is or is not doing. No one is informing her fully until something happens, and they're like, "Oh, you were doing this."
Yeah,
it's like you couldn't have given me the lowdown. She needs a big lore alert here. Okay.
She does.
And Rain tells Sera that he doesn't think that she understands the gravity of why Nyktos used the compulsion on her. And it's like, do tell. And he says, okay, I will. So Sera then tells him, I spent my whole life without free will, but I was aware that I had no control. With compulsion, I have no awareness. That may not seem like a difference to you or one that should matter, but it does to me. Like I said, I understand why he did it. The alternative would have been death. So it's like she understands, but that also does add a layer. It's not like, oh, I don't have control over me, I just must do what he tells me. It's like, no, you cease to exist in your own brain.
Right.
Like, that's why she said blank sheet. Like, she's a canvas. So that definitely adds another layer to, like, the severity of the compulsion and why, like,
why it's a big deal.
and Nyktos don't like to use it.
Yeah.
Discussion of a game plan on how to prevent Sera from going into stasis again ensues, and we find out that the things that are needed to prevent said stasis are protein, chocolate, physical activity, and blood.
Love it. That's a good regimen.
Nice little checklist.
And for my Nyktos soapbox, that's why he's been sending chocolate with all of her meals. Just saying. And why he wants her to eat. Just saying. Continue on.
One would argue that he just wanted her to eat because she's a person that requires food. But hey, that's just me.
I'll bite my
And
tongue.
like the chocolate, cool. It's a nice little touch. It's like, yeah, it's a little dessert. Great.
To prevent her from going into stasis.
Whatever. But it's, once again, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like a reveal at the end of the thing. It's a very like chapter 54 kind of deal where it's like, I was doing all of this to like help you and because I care about you. And it's like, cool, but chapter 54 is much different than I put a piece of chocolate on your plate. Anyway.
Learn to love him.
I was never this avid of a Nyktos hater. Let me be clear. The first book, I quite enjoy Nyktos. He is a hot man who's got some suave moves for a virgin. But like...
the podcast has unlocked.
Yeah, but now I'm just... he's giving me the ick. I can't do it.
Go sit over there.
Yeah, he's in the dunce chair right now, actually. It must be Nyktos sitting with our back to us, knees facing the corner in one of the little mini chairs. Has to be a child-sized chair with his knees up like he's on a little squatty potty and he's hunched over and he's got a little dunce cap.
Nyktos standing next to him with his arms crossed, just...
I love it. Give it to me. Sera asked if anyone's come to see her while she's been asleep, and no one's been to visit her, but Nyktos has been here the whole time that she's been sleeping. And it's like, okay. Okay. Sera dismisses Nyktos' concern to be just about the embers, not about her. Bella and Rain rebuttal that and was like, no, he was not here because of that. He was also very aggressive towards Ector. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure he was worried for her, worried with guilt.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure he was. Anyway, after... I'm only playing this up a little bit. Just like a little bit. After combing through her thoughts, she comes to the realization that Nyktos does care for her, but his feelings are incredibly shallow. Correct. She realizes that she, however, cares a lot.
Oh.
And it's just like, you don't say.
You only just...
get the fireworks.
You only just sent yourself into a 72-hour nap because you got so mad for seeing a girl on his lap. Like, I think you fucking care.
Yeah, I'd say so. So after coming to that realization, she recalls the current task list at hand. Let us go through our chores. Find Delphi and Ireland, remove the embers, deal with Colas. Easy.
No big deal. No big deal.
She realizes that in order to accomplish all of these tasks, she will have to work with Nyktos, oh boy, and also be his consort for the sake of politics, and file her personal feelings away in order to obtain what she truly wants, which is her freedom. Sera makes her way to the bathing chambers in her bedroom, refusing to use Nyktos' bedroom, or bathing rooms, after the intimate moment they shared in it, when, you know, he ate her out on the tub. And she then asks for hot water, and as she's waiting, she kind of takes a moment and reaches into the depths of herself for the nothingness, the ability to shut off all emotion. No, baby, don't do that. Sera then gets into her tub that she was assaulted in and nearly killed in, and successfully bathes, even though she, you know, was understandably on edge. And when she exits the bathing chamber, Bella is waiting with some soup. And Sera asks if Bella is supposed to be watching her, and she says, no, Orphene's watching. I'm just here because I'm nosy. And she says, I know Vessies was here. Bella, a fucking girl's girl, and she just wants the tea. I love her
through and through. Love it.
I just love how straight up she is with it. She's like, "Oh no, someone else is here to actually like watch you.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm nosy. I want to know what's going on."
Yeah.
So chapter 31, Bella comes right out with it. It's like, "Nah, I hate Vessi's too, girl. I saw her and Nyktos together.
Mm-hmm.
Give me it. What's going on?" She thought things would change now that Nyktos has a consort, and because he never wanted or needed a consort, even though Sera thought that she needed to kill him, Bella sees the way that she looks at him, how comfortable she is touching him, which is something that others dare not do. And like, Bella has never seen Nyktos so involved with anyone like he is with Sera. And it's just like neon signs, you know?
Yeah.
Sera again dismisses this as like he's just doing it because of the embers, and it's like, no. Bella, though, having none of it, shoots it down and shares that he basically chewed everyone out before his speech in the throne room when he was talking about like how brave Sera was after she tried to escape to go like kill Colas. And it's like, good for you. Okay.
He goes to bat for her. He does. He goes to bat for her without her even knowing it. All right, we can keep going.
But like when I hear that, I'm like, so he chewed everyone out before his speech in the throne room. So before Sera came in, he chewed them out saying like, you can't be mean to her. She's braver than all of you. Don't be mean. And then she came in. I don't know. I just see it I see it from such like a fucked up Midsummer angle, like with Christian, like, you guys better not, don't do that. She's real brave. Also, she's coming in here right now.
Oh.
But I know he is opposite of that. Like, I'm not in any way comparing his personality to Christian. I just saw it in that context.
God!
I would never degrade Nyktos in that way, okay? He might be very low on my totem pole of MMCs right now, but I would never.
All of our stuff is going to start meshing.
It really is. It's gonna just flow into each other, man.
Oh God.
And Bella shares that she didn't see them doing any sex. So Nyktos and Vessi's were not fucking, but she did see Vessi's feeding from him. And as we know, that doesn't always lead to or include sex. And Bella says that she saw this happen a year ago.
Oh.
And she says in this moment, never in my life have I noped out of a chamber as quickly as I did then. And just another one of those moments where I love when the modern lingo makes its way into these fantasy novels.
Yeah.
Because it's just enough. It's not like blatant and taking you out of it. It's just like, oh, it's funny.
Yeah.
At least that's how I found it. And according to Ios, Vessi's didn't always suck. And we're like, really? And she's notorious for some scandalous shit in Delos. She supports Colas, and Nyktos does not like or trust her. So we ask, why would he allow her to feed from him for the last year? And Sera asks that question. Thank you. Let's get some answers. Before we get said answers, the embers begin to vibrate. She feels the tickling in her vagina. And Sera can sense Nyktos is approaching. I love that's gonna come in my head every time now. Hope it does for all you too. The adjoining door between chambers swings open, and Nyktos and Sera make eye contact. Then he approaches the bed and asks Bella to give them a moment, which she does. And as the tension sets in, he asks Sera how she's feeling. Great icebreaker. She responds with knowing she was in stasis for 3 days. It's like, yeah. It's like, oh, how are you feeling? Well, I was just fucking asleep for 3 days. How are you? Because of you, actually. Sera shares that she found out where Delphi is, and Nyktos has already shared that information with Nyktos. Sera says that she's ready to go, but Nyktos says, like, well, no, and that's also not what I'm here to talk about. And then we get the, like, I'm sorry. Sera says that she didn't like the compulsion, but she understands why it was necessary. He does take accountability for it, so yay, which I fully expected him to anyway. I can't see a universe where he didn't.
Yeah.
Then he says he's apologizing for what Sera thought she saw. Thought she's...
Right. Right.
Been watching you, Nyktos.
I do. Yeah. I back you on that part. Yes.
He's triggering me.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
The conversation escalates, and Sera says that she knows what she saw, but Nyktos says no, she didn't. And buddy, that is the absolute worst thing you can say right now. Like, I get he's never done this before, like, as far as this kind of, like, you've never had to deal with this kind of scenario before.
Right.
But, like...
Yeah. Worst line to come back with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's already been established that this wasn't the first time, and Sera asks why he was with Thesses, and what was his answer? Because I was. Brother, come on. Like, at least try to pull some shit out of your ass. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And just the it's complicated. I mean, it's no, like, anyone that knows me and, like, my reading, whatever, I hate the miscommunication trope bullshit. This is purposeful. Like, it's complicated needs to immediately be followed up with, but if you give me the time, I will explain it to you all right now.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, things can be complicated. That's life. Life is fucking complicated. We've learned this as we've aged through time. And, like, it's the pausing after. It's the not continuing the sentence. Like, I want to strangle him. Ugh. Anyway, I'm gonna try to keep my cool. I'm cool. I'm fine. I'm cool.
It's warranted. It's warranted in this section, 100%.
We've made a lot of Hercules jokes. I am Hades in this scenario
Yeah.
I'm cool. I'm fine. I'm cool. We're fine. And Sera, like the badass bitch she is standing on business, and we fucking love her for that.
We do.
She makes Nyktos flinch, and I say, yes, girl, yes, make him flinch. And Sera then tries to shut down the conversation, which it's like, well, no, you do kind of need to. Well, I would also try to shut it down at that point, too, because it's like, you're not giving me any answers. You're giving me bullshit, so why am I going to try talking to you?
Right.
But Nyktos powers through, telling Sera that what happened is because she cares. That he caused her to lose control and hurt her. And he never wanted that, and he hates that he hurt her. He says he's sorry.
He says, I am sorry, Sera.
It's like, thank you for your apology. Does not mean I accept it.
A little bit of growth and accountability there.
I mean, yes. If Nyktos is anything, he's accountable. He will take responsibility for his actions. He just needs to elaborate on them. Even though Sera hears his genuine tone, she's already thrown her safeguard back up and is not leaning into any of her empathy. Me and Sera are the same. My walls are up. My brick-ass walls are up.
But this entire interaction breaks me. It breaks me.
It is tough to read. Like, even being mad and upset at him, it's a toughie.
It's sad.
Nyktos tells Sera he's wanted no one but her, and she laughs at him. And she asks him if it's not what it looked like, then what was it? And valid.
That's valid, yeah.
And he just says it's complicated. And Sera, just to find the final twist of the dagger, says, you know what? Seeing you with her did hurt my feelings. I don't know why. It shouldn't have. You have made no promises to me, and I have asked none from you. This union between us was never something that either of us denied. We don't need to discuss what you were or weren't doing any further. I know what I saw. You've apologized for it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Then, sorry, we're not done twisting. Sera then says that the deal is over. Once the embers are gone, so is she.
We're all crying in the club.
It's a tough breakup.
That's the part, that last line, like that whole interaction was so hard, you know, like him telling her, like, I've never wanted anyone but you. And she laughs. And then that final part, once it's over, I'm gone. Like,
yeah.
So
and then Nyktos asks if this is the deal that she's asking for. She says yes. Then he replies, then so be it. And this is also what frustrates me about him, because it's just showing such a lack of fight. Like, you're not fighting for her. Like, he's not, like, it's complicated. Like,
he's
you're not elaborating on anything.
He's trying to respect her space because he knows that he hurt her. So now he's trying to respect her very obvious wall that's gone up, right? Because if we think back to the first book, when he found out that she was trying to kill him, right? And he puts his wall up and she respects that boundary somewhat. True. You know, now it's like the roles are reversed.
That is true. Can't deny that.
So,
but yeah,
I'll just pull my box back now.
No, it's cool. It's cool. It's the, like, if it had ended on her just stating, like, once the embers are gone, so am I. If it had just ended there, it would have been like, okay. But it's the fact that he follows up with, like, so that's what you want now, and he's like, okay, fine. It's like, you could have not done that.
I understand. Yeah, totally, absolutely. It would have delivered a way different impact. 100%.
Right. But no, this does give you the extra gut punch straight to your heart, for sure.
Yes.
Because just as like we make some progress, Sarah's like, I want to be your consort. Okay, Lisa.
Right.
We maybe love you soon. And now we're back to square fucking one.
Yep. Take it back.
Yeah. 5 hops this time.
500.
Moving to the next chapter and focusing on the next mission, getting to Ireland. Nothing could go wrong with this.
Nothing.
Of course not.
It's going to be great.
Sera enters Nyktos' office and she asks if she can have a moment of his time. Rain is also there and asks if she's feeling unwell because she's being polite.
Nyktos also tells her, you can have all the time you want, Serafina. And I think that she says, he said my name like it was a wicked whisper and a reverent prayer. I would have folded. I would have folded right there because the tension in this entire scene, it's like so small, like it's a small scene, but the tension is just so fucking sick.
It confuses the fuck out of me.
I'm love it.
This is the next day after the both of you have just agreed that you broke her heart.
Yeah.
She doesn't want anything to do with you. And you agree. You're like, okay, fine. But now you're going to start making comments and saying things like that. I'm like,
I love it.
It just confuses and frustrates me more because I'm like, it just further.
Because he's respecting her boundary, right? He's respecting her boundary, but he's like, I don't know how to explain.
I'm sorry, what boundary is he respecting by talking sexy at her when she's made it known that she wants nothing to do with him? I'm sorry. So personally, I like when I started reading this, I got whiplash. I'm like, are we a week later? No, this is the next day. Okay.
Yeah. We don't know
also,
what's going on.
Doing it at the scene of the crime?
Oh, yeah, that's
really?
true. Well, yeah.
The balls on this man. Gotcha. Sera tells him that she wants to go to Ireland and Nyktos can come with her, but he says, nope, I'm coming. It's like, great. And so I'm like, okay, forced proximity, I guess. Cool. Gotta get him there somehow.
Let's just pile it on.
And this conversation is alarmingly agreeable, very formal. Agreements on both ends are honored, and Nyktos acknowledges that he has to deal with the part of himself that constantly worries over Sera and the Embers being killed. It's like, you are very self-aware. Thank you, sir. They leave for Ireland in the morning. Travel plans consist of shadow stepping. Otherwise, they would have to enter through like Spessa's End or Pompeii, and that's a longer route. But shadow stepping means she has to hold on to Nyktos pretty close as they travel. And Nyktos is fucking the shit out of Sera.
He is.
Once again, I am confused. I thought you were mad at each other. And I'm all for the enemies to lovers. I'm cool, but how many times are we restarting said enemies to lovers? This is restart number 2. This is the 3rd time we're going through this. So what's different? Nyktos later brings up that he heard about the nymphs and that Sera killed one with ether, and's like, can't really ignore that for long. You gotta bring attention to that at some point. And he calls her out on how she's appearing so shut off, and as if he like didn't break her heart and cause her to act this way. What? I'm so confused.
Yeah. Maybe I just love this whole point because I just very much see myself in this entire moment.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. Like, if that is how you come at one of these situations, I'll go for it.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that, like, Nyktos being as self-aware as he is,
At
and
this
then
point,
taunting Sera, then being like, wow, you're so shut off right now. And it's like, who the fuck is to blame for that, dickhead?
Yeah.
I
saw it from the angle of him, like, I guess, how do I word this? On, like, acknowledging her emotions, but...
Like, yeah? Yeah? I mean, like, it's just, yeah, I don't know.
You feel like he's more, like, not attacking.
It's like a disregard.
Yeah.
It's such a disregard for, like, what
like
she
pompous.
is feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you can address what she's feeling without calling her
calling
shut
it
off.
out. Yeah. I got
you can say, like, hey, I understand why you feel this way. Is there anything else you want to say to me? Like,
right. Yeah.
Hit me. Like, it's the opening the communication, you know? But as of that point in my life, when I was that age, blah, 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 you know. Sera notices that Nyktos is sensing her emotions, but he feels nothing, which is a first. That's new. He says, you have more than earned the right to be yourself, to think what you want, feel what you want. That shouldn't change. And it's like, yes, correct.
Mhm.
You are speaking facts. And Sera admits in a whisper that she does not want to be like this, and what she went through is too painful to experience again. Youch.
And now I feel
Yeah.
so fucking called out. It's like
Yeah.
the first part of him bringing up, that she seems shut off. I was like, oh, is this about me? And then that point, I'm like, oh, fucking calls coming from inside the house.
Yeah, it feels like a restructured, like, ACOTAR spoilers, but it feels like a very restructured, like, Cassie and Nesta relationship
100%.
where, like, he was so
100%.
much more suave with it. Like, Cassian was much more, like, I don't know.
Loving. Well,
Yeah, it was kind of like a taunting, but I don't know. It wasn't like
Cassian also
he
wasn't
didn't
a
make her feel that
virgin
way.
when he met Nesta.
See, I'm not blaming any of this on him being a virgin. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if you fucked a girl or not. That
that's
makes
true.
you inept to communicate.
That's true.
Just because you put your dick in.
Yeah, I guess I was looking at it from like the angle of like it can, once you have sex with someone, it can kind of change.
Oh, it changes.
everything.
Oh, changes the dynamic for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I would never say that was not true. 100%. So yeah, it's lines crossed, all that jazz. But
I'm
yeah,
pulling at straws. I'm pulling at straws.
It's so funny. The people pleaser in me is like, no, I want to hear you out. I want to make sure that you're heard. And yes, tell me about it. Tell me about it. You're just
But
like,
then you're like, no. I like the spicy. I like spicy Megan.
It's like the Supernatural when they're inside Dean's head and Sam's just like, Dean, we don't have time for your blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. That's all I hear. I'm just like, Rachel's just blah 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 blah. I love you, I'm kidding. And yeah, as soon as we think they might try to talk it out, like then Nyktos gets a summons from Colas that is received via a symbol appearing on his hand, which is a slash cutting through a circle that shows up the center of his palm.
Fucking rude.
Great.
Yeah.
And so back in the office, it is now busy with all the others, such as like Nyktos, Ios, etc. Sera is on the settee with Reaver, and he has his head on her lap. It's really cute. And Sera thinks that he sensed her nervousness and was responding to it.
Emotional support, Draken.
I want an emotional support, Draken.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if I can try to sneakily get my husband to let us name our future dog Reaver. Maybe I'll get him to do that.
Gosh, love
That would be great.
That'd be so cute.
Yeah, a little emotional support trick. I love him.
Yeah.
And Nyktos was hoping to get the embers removed before going to Delos, but there's no choice in that matter now.
Mm-hmm.
Sion and Rain are both really emphasizing that Sera is to be on her best behavior with Colas. Like, you do not fuck around. You will do whatever is demanded of you. No snarky remarks or nothing like that. This is big league here, okay?
It's unsettling.
It's very unsettling because like it's also just everyone's tone is just more serious. They're not poking fun like you can't do this. They're just like, you can't fucking do this.
And it's a very quick, like in this section of the book, it's a very quick tone change because we've got Sera and Nyktos that are kind of not really bantering. They've got that different form of tension, and then JLA just so quickly transmits it like oh!
Yeah. And Nyktos wants to answer the summons after they return from Ireland with the embers removed from Sera, but it's brought up that the last time someone delayed a summons from Colas, he became really upset, and that timeline was less than a day. So it's like you get summoned, you go now.
Yeah. Crybaby. Sorry.
Crybaby dick. Tanner?
Yeah, for real.
Sera makes the decision that they won't wait, and they will, in fact, answer the summons right now. Nyktos says, okay, they leave within the hour. So Ios joins Sera in her chambers and helps her dress for the occasion, and she pulls out this very deep crimson gown. I love a deep crimson.
A little bit of foreshadowing, maybe?
Maybe.
This
gown is gorgeous. It hugs her breastises. It's loose at the waist, tight at the hips, and it's got a sweeping neckline around the back and draped over one shoulder. There's a layer of lace that is stitched over the bodice and hips with slits on both sides of the skirt. I wish I could visualize what that looks like, but it sounds hot.
Someone at the ball better wear it.
Oh my god, custom commission.
Someone.
Oh, you got that money, you get that shit made.
For
please.
real.
I would that's one of my dreams. I would love to have like a custom made dress like for some, like, recreating one of these ball gowns or something. A dream.
Absolutely.
Ios asks Sera if she's going to attempt to go after Colas while she's there, worried that Sera is going to try something reckless, like she did when she tried to go on her solo mission. And Sera shares that she didn't know she had any other option, and Ios questions why it was even an option in the first place. Like, why would Sera think that she could harm a primal? I thought you didn't have that power, Sera. Just only all of the powers and reasons that she's shown lately would probably make her think that she could do that, even though she says that she can't. It's very, once again, she just refusing to accept her own power, honestly. And she reveals that she is Colas's Greca, and that she has Sotoria's soul, and she was always to be Colas's weakness, not Nyktos's. And now we're going to get some background, a lore alert on Ios and Colas. We do want to give a content warning for this one. There's a lot of assault references in here, and some pregnancy as well as mentioned. So Colas kept Ios in a cage of gilded bones. And only the cruelest and most manipulative, gods and primals survive in Delos. Colas's favorites were always under protection. Everything was granted to them except their freedom, and no one was allowed to even talk to or touch them, rather. But he also never forced himself on his favorites either. And she says, you see him for what you always knew him to be as he throws you to the serpents, aka the other gods, primals, godlings, etc. Because everyone knows he tires of his favorites, and they anticipate him releasing them. And she says, the moment a favorite got their freedom was often the last moment of their life. So it's freedom from life. Colas did nothing, as all of these captives were beaten, raped, killed. His most trusted circle would keep watch over those released, and they just would do as they pleased. It's just a fucking terrible place to be. One of the cast-offs at one point became pregnant against her will, and once again, it's pretty rough. Once she gave birth, Colas took the newborn from her arms and killed it like the psychopath he is. Ios fought her way out, which is the only reason that she now lives. So she's been through some fucking shit.
And all of that to paint just how horrible Colas really is.
Yeah, like, this is who they're about to go see.
It wasn't until I read that part that I realized just how awful he is, because we don't really know him. We haven't really met him. We just know his lore. And so this really packs the punch of like, oh my God, he's horrible.
It really does. It's quite awful. And Io says there's nothing but rot and decay where his cardia should be. Colas has no weakness. So great. We are once again back to square one, not only on the relationship front, but also on the whole killing the primal part.
I'm tired, Grandpa.
Great.
Oh, too damn bad.
This is book 2 of this series.
And we're still halfway through the second book, guys.
I know. This is just a little bit over halfway. Like, what the hell? Chapter 33, Sera refuses to believe Colas doesn't have a weakness. Good on you, girl. And then the embers start vibrating in her vagina, which could only mean Daddy Nyktos is here, and he is looking F-I-N-E fine. He has got black leathers and a midnight-colored tunic. Love a midnight-colored tunic. I'm weak for midnight-colored tunics. Silver brocade trim around the collar and chest.
There's trim, Megan. There's trim.
Rhysand, is that you? With red hair? So maybe just more Lucian in the night court, but... And Sera thinks something about seeing him in all black left me strangely uneasy. That feeling is called horned up.
Us too.
Horned up when you hate him. That's what that's called.
H-O-T-T-O-G-O.
Nyktos is looking hot to go. 100%. As is Sera. They're both hot.
Everyone's fucking hot.
Everyone's hot. Mark is hot. Helly's hot. Irv is hot. Everyone's really hot. And Nyktos calls Sera beautiful, but she tells him not to. I sigh. He says that even though things are different between them now, when they're in Delos, it's going to be similar to when Ates was present. So, like, when he went all possessive on her. And so they're going to have to fake it till they make it, which is essentially what they were going to have to be doing anyway, as her consort. Well, she was consort name only. I scratched that.
Yeah. But now it's like, all right, put your money where your mouth is, because they were just talking about it. You might as well, let's go.
Also, just the fact that they just had this like tragic breakup and now they're being thrust into a situation where they have to act hot for one another. It's like, oh my gosh, what a conundrum.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like this is a romantasy novel. Wow. Oh, tropes. Nyktos asks why in this moment he picked up on Sera's sadness, tasting tangy and heavy. And Sera shares that Ios told her about Delos, causing her to obviously be sad, because that was a really sad story. Sera is worried that Colas is going to recognize her as Sotoria, and if that happens, and he were to keep her, Nyktos is not letting that happen. He's like, no, not gonna do that.
Yeah.
He says he may be eons older than me, and he may have the entire court and most, if not all, of the primals behind him. But if he makes even one move toward you, I will leave the entire city of the gods in ruins.
Oh
my god.
Let's start the morally gray count.
Yep. I'm like, you say all of these things, but you act so differently. Your mouth is not doing what your body is doing. Make them connect. Sera says that if Colas recognizes her as Sotoria, she in fact does not want Nyktos to intervene, because she can't live with herself knowing that she was the cause of a war. Agree. And Nyktos says, well, can't agree to that. Allowing Colas to destroy her would take the last bit of goodness he has left, and it would turn him into something far worse than Colas. But I thought that's why you had your cardia removed.
Well, the turntables have turned a little bit.
How about that? Nyktos enters the room to let Jadis see Sera and admits that he was eavesdropping. I love it. He's hopeful that Colas won't recognize her and will see her soon.
Yeah.
And it's just such a precious little moment with Jadis. Just every moment between Sera and Jadis is adorable.
It is. It's so sweet.
Bracing for the moment that they shadow step, Sera asks Nyktos for an idea of what they're about to walk into. And it's like, girl, did you just not listen to Ios? But that's fine. He tells Sera that no matter what happens, to hold on to the part of her that is good. He tells a story of one time Colas demanded that he rip out the heart of a godling who didn't bow as quickly as the others when he passed by. Like, this guy fucking sucks.
He just sucks so much.
And the 110 drops of the tattoos on Nyktos are from Colas's demands. So he wouldn't have these if it weren't for Colas. So this is not people that Nyktos has killed willingly himself.
Right.
So, yikes. That's over 100 people. Awful. Sera says that she's ready, and they join hands. Nyktos pulls her in nice and close to his chest and tells her to hold on, Spider Monkey, and tells Sera to breathe with me.
You don't fucking tell me twice, but I need a fucking inhaler. Oh!
I can breathe fine. You can call me a bitch. It's okay. I heard it.
I will just sit. I will just sit here and bide my time.
Sera opens her eyes, and suddenly they're under a canopy of golden leaves. And Nyktos' fingers graze Sera's cheeks, and he tells her that she was practically unconscious, not fully though, because she should have passed out from the shadow stepping. So the fact that she did not indicates that the embers are growing stronger. And looking around them, the trees are stunning with trunks glittered with specks of gold, and these are the trees of Ios. So she grew them with her touch while she was here. And a dozen guards wait at the gate, wearing golden chest plates engraved with the same symbol that appeared on Nyktos' palm, so that circle with the slash through it, and white knee-length tunics. And there are masks of golden paint on their faces shaped like wings.
Little crossover.
They enter Delos and can finally see the city, and the roads, as Sera saw before, are crushed diamonds leading to a giant building behind a glittery wall. 4 towers are rising from the middle of a dome. And all of the buildings throughout the valleys have sides that are also covered in diamonds. And there's crystalline towers reaching into the clouds. So it's like pizzazz.
Yeah. Very bougie, very flashy.
Yes. Sera doesn't see or hear anything besides the breeze through the trees. Red flag. Questioning where everyone is, Nyktos says that people have come to call Delos the city of the dead. And those who are alive are at court, which is being held at Core Palace. They near the pillars of the inner rise, and the embers begin to hum, which, by the way, that wasn't the wind before. That was the sound of moaning. The white clouds that are above them are actually torn gowns and tunics, and there's a nude body strung up above the door, and even more bodies in, like, the white blossoms of the willows. So it is just decimated with fucking bodies.
It's horrible.
And the pillars also have hands and feet spiked into the stone. Like, what the hell?
Like, isn't that so poetic, though, that, you know, you've got this beautiful, flashy city and there's just bodies everywhere.
Very Hunger Games capital, like the capital.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, it looks great from afar, but when you actually get there, not great at all, actually. The embers are vibrating frantically at this point. Sarah's just like, she's got that little toy up in there. And Sera sees a man who happens to be alive, and he has his mouth stitched shut. So her arm lifts, and the power from the embers seeps out as they are in the heart of Delos. Like, the one place she cannot be using them. Like, this is bad, bad, bad. But in her defense, I don't think she is in control at this point.
Oh, absolutely
they
not.
They are fully controlling her.
Absolutely
but it's like,
not.
They did not think this might happen, but also one would hope that they wouldn't expect to be walking into this palace and bodies are everywhere.
Yeah.
But still. Nyktos tries to get her to stop the embers, but she can't. So to distract her, he kisses her and puts his hand on her cheek and then one through her hair, and it's very hot. And it's not the ideal spot for this to happen, but I do say victory in this moment.
Yes.
I do.
That positioning, like the one hand in the hair and one on the face, that's my fucking kryptonite. Oh my God.
I love a hand in the hair. Yes, every time. Every time.
Like you said, not an ideal spot, but
exactly. I'm like, listen, it's not how we wanted this kiss to happen, but yeah,
here we are.
It's what we got and we'll take it. And also just like the whole like to offer as a distraction part is also just something I love. I don't know. There's something about it. It's like, oh, well, I'm not going to use my compulsion again. So what's the next best thing? I'm going to smooch you.
I'm going to kiss you right on the mouth.
Right on that mouth. So his shadows then appear to smother the embers, reminding her of when he watched her in bed. It's like, and then his fang nicks her lower lip, and he gets like the smallest amount of blood and like licks it away, and doesn't stop kissing her until the embers settle down, and then says, "So strong, so brave." Oh. And I'm like, I love all of this besides the nicking of the lip, because why?
Why not?
She didn't ask for that. Why are you taking blood without asking? That's weird. Don't do like I was so down until it was that. And I was like, oh, well, unless that's going to come back around somehow as like a reason for it. At this point I'm just like, unnecessary, but fine. I'll accept it. And then as they got tongues and throats, Ates appears with a dark-haired male with a winged face mask with him. And Sera recalls seeing the mask from somewhere. And yeah, so do we. Callum, bitch, where are you? Where are you at, fucking bitch, Callum?
What is it? What does Castile call him? You golden fuck.
Yeah. Where's our pincushion at, huh? Where'd you go? I know so many of us sew. That would be so fun for Carol. Carol, I know you're listening. If we got her a little gift that was a pincushion, because she's a sewer now.
Yeah.
And we got her a pincushion that's just art of Callum printed on fabric.
Oh my gosh.
We just want to make them for everybody.
We do.
That would be so fun.
We'll have to get Alex to crochet a little Callum with like a little like a Callum doll.
Doll looks like Callum.
Love it.
Yes, we learn that this masked male is not Callum, but he's named Dices and has pale blue eyes. So yes, he is a revenant.
Context clues, everybody. Context clues.
Dicey says that Colas is holding court, so he'll be escorting Nyktos and, quote, his mistress. Bitch. Nyktos corrects Dicey's and is like, Sera is my consort, not mistress. And Dicey's rebuttals that that's only true if His Majesty grants it and instructs Sera to bow to him. And then she starts to, but Nyktos tells her, no, not to him. She's only gonna bow in the presence of those deserving. Woohoo!
That's right.
And then he shadow steps and Dicey's chest explodes. He has shoved his hand through his chest and has Dicey's heart in his hand.
Let's fucking go. The morally gray men and their love for just destroying chest cavities. Fucking love it. Love it.
What did he say?
And he says, you will bow before her.
Okay, you're winning me back. Okay. Let me just see you're twirling my hair. Sera didn't feel the embers react to Dicey's dying, so they're like, that's different. And Ates also brings up that Dicey's did not feel right. Nyktos doesn't see or sense a soul, which is also alarming. So they're obviously like, revenants are something very different.
Yeah.
Which obviously they don't know that he's a revenant, but we know he's a revenant. They begin to make their way to the palace, and Nyktos asks Ates if he was summoned here, and he says he was not. He came because he wanted to see Sera. And I love how just hot he is for Sera, but also keeps his distance. He's like, nah, I just kind of pop in here and there.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to push boundaries or like be creepy. I'm just going to be like, no, I wanted to come see you.
Right.
I just like you. I love Ates. We then enter the halls leading to the atrium and talk about the change of environment. Who's ready for an orgy? Because there's people everywhere.
People are fucking everywhere.
And sucking everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Sera looks to a raised dais and sees a male standing next to it with his back turned, who's also in black leathers with a silver cuff on his upper bicep. This is Hanan. Nyktos moves to sit on a settee and brings Sera between his legs, and she lays back against his chest, so they're already sexing it up. And Ates leaves to go find his brother. A woman clearly working for the party offers them drinks, and as Sera goes to take them, or to take a glass with this like dark purpley liquid, Nyktos is like, let's do these two drinks instead.
Yeah.
Because what she was about to drink is what they call Radic wine, and it's made from grapes in Cytheria, which is Maya's court. And it's an aphrodisiac, but like on steroids.
Yeah.
So it's the fucking wine.
It's fucking wine. It's the fucking like fairy wine from Agatar.
Yes, that's only this is like specifically to get you hard. So Sera notices the design of a wolf on the floor and asks Nyktos about it. She says that it reminds her of the crest of his throne doors, and it is in fact the crest of his father's and Colas's bloodline, therefore making it his as well. The winged masks are also a familiarity. Nyktos explains that they were another one of his father's symbols. So the winged masks also belonged to his father.
He says, are you guys ready? Here's some major crossover. He says that hawks represent intelligence, strength, and courage. A reminder to be careful, but to also be brave. Who said that? Who said that?
Who said that?
Poppy and Castile. Poppy and Castile. I did not realize like this whole little interaction the first time around. I don't remember this fucking book until the second time reading it. I don't remember jack shit. I was losing my fucking ever-loving mind reading this because the wings on these masks are supposed to be of a hawk, but under Ethos's rule, they were silver.
A silver hawk? Well, Sera's mind goes exactly where our minds are going.
Yes.
Because she says, well, I keep seeing silver hawks. And Nyktos is like, well, no, there's no way that you saw one in the dying woods. Do we get a why? Of course not. Why would we?
But now it has me thinking, is it Ethos? Is Ethos actually dead? Is he actually kaput? Well, yeah, I guess he has to be. I don't know. Never mind. I'm reaching.
I'm forgetting how Colas ended him.
We do. We cover it further down.
Oh, further down we do. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and a Draken working for Colas named Davin, or Devon, I'm not sure, opens a curtain. Devon, I guess. Opens a curtain to their alcove, allowing Hanan to enter. And he is the primal of the hunt and divine justice. Nyktos takes an opportunity and kisses Sera on the corner of the lip. And it's like,
honestly living for any little interaction we can get right now.
Yeah. Well, good thing they're in a scenario where they're forced to be.
Love it.
Hanan turns his attention to Sera and says she is not what he expected, and challenges her. But Sera stands her ground, and wit, of course, on point. And Hanan goes on to completely boil Sera's existence down to expendable. And it's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Also, Nyktos has had enough, and Hanan is thrown into a state of distress. And he says, I will not warn you again. Speak to her one more time, look at her, and I will shatter every bone in your cowardly body, and then drag you into the abyss to bury you so deep in the pits that it will take you 100 years to claw your way out. Do you understand me?
Morally fucking gray. That little blurb is the fucking definition.
Ah! Big time.
Oh!
Sarah's aroused. Valid. I'm aroused. Maybe not in this moment, but like, damn, that's hot. If he was saying that in front of me, I would be like, do you want to find a room?
Can you imagine? We just translate this to real life for a minute. Can you imagine? Be fucking dead. Be like, let's go.
Over with. You're not seeing me for another 24 hours because I'm just going to be fucking. Hanan says that a god from his court ascended into primalhood within Nyktos' court. He's talking about Bella. But Nyktos denies it all and it's like, well, I don't know where she is. It's like, good one.
Yeah.
Nyktos continues to run his mouth to Nyktos, or Hanan continues, to run his mouth to Nyktos, saying he's going to get what he wants before the day is over and that Nyktos will return to his court with nothing. How dare you? Then painted guards pour into the atrium, the dais doors open, and enter Colas, the false king and true primal of death.
Here we go.
Deep breaths, everybody. You know how the roller coaster's been click, 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 going up to the top? We're peeking over here.
Yeah.
We're peeking over. The scent of stale lilacs fills the air, and golden ether is moving along the floor. Thought it was kind of cool that Nyktos is kind of like silver and his is gold.
Yeah.
Nyktos reminds Sera to breathe. It's like, thanks.
Yeah.
And gently guides her to kneel with everyone else. Colas enters wearing a crown of swords made of diamonds and gold. His eyes land on Sera, and he shadow steps in front of her and uses compulsion to tell Sera to look in his eyes. Just the fact that immediately, not knowing who she is, but he calls her by name. So he knows her name is Sera, and he can tell immediately that she is not a godling. Nyktos confirms that she is. Her father was a god, her mother was a mortal, and Colas says there's too much ether in her for that to be true. Nyktos proceeds to gaslight Colas, saying he's probably just sensing Nyktos' blood in her.
Our dead mothers would be so proud of him, and we know they are.
They would be very happy with his gaslighting abilities here. And then Colas goes to touch Sera's hair, and Nyktos is not having that. And though he grabs Colas's wrist, like, you're doing what? Oh my god. And he says, I do not wish for her to be touched. She is mine.
Again, morally fucking gray.
Nyktos emphasizes that he will do to Colas what Colas has done to those involving his, quote, favorites. Yeah. That's a threat.
Nyktos is just popping off to who everyone is too scared to even, like, breathe wrong in front of.
Yeah. But Colas is enjoying seeing his reaction. Then small talk ensues. Dice's death is mentioned casually in passing. Like, oh, did you see that guy who's fucking dead out there? And Colas says that he's sure Nyktos is aware of the other reason that he was summoned. And to our surprise, or no one's surprise, we have no idea what other reason this is. We begin the guessing game of what we're doing here with the topic of Hanan having knowledge of how a god was ascended. Colas says it's a power felt by all, and it should not exist past his court. But here we are. Colas is a babbling idiot, not understanding how it's possible. And Nyktos is like, well, whoever did it's gone. I assumed it was our king. And like, what a king.
Yeah.
He's got that poker face. Does not shift.
Yeah. And then it's shared that only the primal of life can ascend to God. So
right. Hence why Colas is like, that shouldn't be happening outside of here, so why did that happen?
Right.
So the doors open, and who walks in? Dicey's.
Thought he was dead.
Yeah, we officially learn that he is indeed a revenant, and Colas becomes irritated with Hanan, questioning his abilities, and dismisses him, apologizing to Sera for his absurd behavior.
It's
Thank
like
you.
making my skin crawl.
The conversation moves to the topic of Nyktos holding Sera's coronation without Colas's approval, and he's still not happy about it. So we're like,
Shit.
Colas says Nyktos will not go unpunished for this, and Sera intervenes, saying it's her fault because she asked Nyktos not to tell him. Colas asks if it's because she fears him, and she says she has no reason to fear him.
Girl, what are you doing?
Sera, what are you doing?
Have you learned nothing?
Like, anything and everything you just heard out the door.
They
like,
just
what?
told her. They just told her.
So then she proceeds to gaslight like a champ, and Colas says that she's brave, but she's going to have to prove her worth to him. Nyktos tries to object, but Colas rejects and says Sera must earn it in the same manner as Nyktos.
What does that mean?
Sera blindly agrees to doing this unknown task, and we're all holding our breath. And they bring in a Draken that resembles Reaver. He and Colas says, life is owed to me to pay for the dishonor. Wow, so he's making you do the same thing he made Nyktos do that Nyktos told you about not 5 minutes ago?
Yep.
What a world. Ugh, Sera. So she is to kill the Draken to earn permission to be Nyktos' consort. If she refuses, Colas will kill the Draken, summon another Draken from the Shadowlands to also be killed, and then kill her.
It's horrible.
Oh my god. Sera asks what could possibly be gained from this, and Colas says it will tell him everything he needs to know. Fucking diabolical. Nyktos tries to step in to take the kill, and Colas is not having it, and says that if anyone other than Sera pays the price, it will be paid with her blood. Ates hands Sera the blade, and then she locks eyes with the Draken. And he says, I am prepared to enter Arcadia, where my family awaits me. Sera asks him what his name is, and he says she does not need to remember. And Kin, who is another Draken, is shielding his face. Sera apologizes to him, shuts her emotions off, and lifts her gaze to Colas. She senses something in his essence, and it causes the embers to start to hum. And Sera feels it fuse to her, unleashing a deep primal rage. And she hears a voice whisper, mine. The spirit of Sotoria comes out front and center, smiling, as Sera pays the price.
Oh!
No. So not only are we like, hey, we gotta hide that you got these embers in you, so keep that shit on lock.
Yeah.
And also, we don't know if Colas recognizes you and you look like Sotoria, so we gotta keep our fingers crossed that you don't do that. What's the first thing we do in Delos? Oh yeah, the embers come to life. What's the second thing that happens in Delos? Oh yeah, Sotoria shows her face. Great! Colas laughs and Sera drops the blade and deems Sera worthy. Sera dissociates as they take their leave, and while they were successful in their goal of Colas not recognizing Sotoria and learning more about Colas's little party trick of creating life, a piece of Sera is now gone, as if they didn't try to prepare us for this. She wants to go to Vathi, which is Ate's and Kin's court. So Kin was a Draken from Ate's court, to try to bring the Draken back. And so after she killed the Draken, the body was taken away. And Nyktos and Sera shadow step to a white stone balcony, pine trees, snow-capped mountains, and an ivory-hued rise surrounded by a sea. And then Ates appears. Not really pleased with their unannounced arrival, or not Colas, Nyktos took her to Vathi. And Sera immediately asks where the Draken is, and Kin is taking him to burn, as is tradition. But she pleads for them to go get him, and Nyktos backs her up. It's like, listen to her. Sera asks why Colas would do this to one of Kin's Draken, and it's because Colas knows the Draken are one of the few things that Kin cares about, and the entire thing was premeditated because he's also just a slimy, greasy fuckhead. Ates returns and lays the Draken's body on a table, and Nyktos threatens Ates that he will not breathe a word of what is about to take place. The scent of fresh lilacs fills the room, a silvery glow washes over the Draken and the puncture wound on his chest. A high-pitched sound is heard, and a Draken call, and an entire chorus begins. And it's like, what the fuck? The Draken illuminates and his chest rises in a deep breath, eyes opening, and they're blue. He looks at his chest and then at Sera, saying, Mea Lisa. He says he feels okay, he's just tired, and Ate says he'll be safe in his personal chambers to rest, and the Draken says that his name is Thad. And do we know a Thad? Is there a Thad in From Blood and Ash? Because when he introduced himself, I'm like, I feel like we're supposed to know who that is.
I know.
And I can't remember.
Because, if we know anything from JLA, there's no insignificance.
Right?
There's no insignificance. So I know. I honestly can't remember.
Yeah. I'm like, we're going to have to go back or something and try to figure that out. Because I'm like, why do I feel like we know who Thad is?
Deep dive on the deep dive.
No.
God,
yeah, we dive so deep we forget what we already dove past. So, just to make sure everyone's clear, everyone felt that.
Right.
So now they're going to have to keep Thad hidden. And the charms on Sera's wrists won't work here, so Kolis may send Deikais here to look for the embers. No big deal.
Not a big deal at all.
It's fine. Nobody panic.
Everything's fine.
Ate says he will not tell anyone what happened, and then lowers to one knee and places a hand over his heart and the other flat on the floor. He says, I swear I will not betray what you've done today, Mea Lisa. Nyktos asks Ates why he didn't go to Kolis before to rat them out, and Ate says he remembers who Ethos was and who Nyktos was meant to be.
I thought of the scene in Lion King, remember who you are.
Very accurate. Sera and Nyktos are finally back on his balcony in the Shadowlands. Thank God, because we're home.
That was a lot. That was a lot.
So much. Within the span of an hour. Maybe
yes.
2. My God. Nyktos asks Sera why she spoke out. He could have handled the punishment that was dealt, and he says that he doesn't deserve to carry the marks, or she doesn't deserve to carry the marks, because he's used to it. And Sera's not sorry for presenting Nyktos from being forced to kill again, and if he's mad at her for it, he's gonna have to get the fuck out. She clarifies she didn't do it because of him, but rather for him. We circle back to the whole potential revenant thing, reflecting on what we know from Gemma. Remember Gemma? She never saw them during the day, and she said Kolis needed his Greca to perfect them. No one knows how Kolis brought Dicey's back without the embers, nor is Dicey's a Demis. So, as a little refresher, a Demis is a mortal that is ascended by a god. So they didn't have enough essence in them, like the third sons and daughters, though. And they're forbidden because they're rarely successful. So Kolis is somehow creating life without the embers. His control over everything would fall apart if everyone knew that he didn't actually possess the embers. So what the fuck is he up to?
Yeah.
Nyktos tells Sera he could feel the rage within her at Delos, and it tasted different. Sera says she could feel Sotoria looking through her eyes. Nyktos believes everyone has been wrong about Sera, and that she is she holds 2 souls, hers and Sotoria's. So it's not that she is Sotoria, it's that 2 souls live within her body. So fine. I couldn't even handle having an extra roommate in my apartment, let alone a soul in my body.
Are you kidding?
Going into chapter 37, we will throw out a content warning for physical assault here. So this information is of course new, and Nyktos won't be able to confirm it until Sera's death. Convenient. Nyktos meets with the usual suspects, and JLA legitimately wrote that.
Yeah.
She wrote down the usual suspects and gives the TLDR of the events that happened at Delos, while leaving out the details about whole Sera killing a Draken thing.
Right.
It might be a little touchy,
sensitive, yeah.
Given, the Draken in Shadowlands. Sera leaves Nyktos' office and heads to the courtyard, and with Reaver tagging along, she sits on a boulder and Reaver lays his head in her lap and she apologizes to him and begins to cry out of guilt. Sera wipes her face and she sees that she has cried tears of blood.
Just like the legends, when a primal is struck by deep sorrow.
Another hint here. I'm a sucker for crying blood. It's just so cool to me. It just, it's so sinister, and but in this instance, not sinister.
I was gonna say, in real life, if I woke up and that was happening, I would fucking freak out.
That's emergency room. That's see a doctor. No, I mean, I'm talking James Bond
Yeah,
with Mads
yeah.
Mikkelsen crying the blood. Like, it's just, I love
so
it when it's a
cool.
villain doing it. When it's an FMC, like, this is the first time I've seen that kind of deal happen.
Yeah.
And obviously it is out of sorrow, not being a bad person.
Right.
It's actually because she's a great person. Later on, Sera returns to her chambers and she's joined by Io, Spella, and Reva for dinner. Nyktos has gone to Leith in preparation for the coronation. Nyktos and Morphine, that is actually someone's name. Orphine?
No, it's Orphine.
It's Orphine?
Kept auto-correcting to morphine, and I had to keep going in and switching it back.
It's so fucking
I know.
Nyktos and Morphine coming down.
I would love to see a fantasy author actually name one of their characters Morphine and carry it through the entire book.
Oh, it just reminds me of Spaceballs. Prince Valium. Oh, just a really tired Draken named Morphine. So Nyktos and Orphine are in Leith dealing with shades that got too close for comfort. And it seems to be becoming more frequent. And they're also gathering in larger groups. Coincidence? I think not. Reaver joins Sera in her room as Hector takes his leave and checks her room for any unwarranted visitors. And as she's finishing the buttons on her robe, her chest begins to hum, and we all know what that means. Daddy Nyktos is home. However, the hum is a bit fainter than usual, and Sera asks Reaver if he feels anything.
Yeah, Sera actually, she wonders if it's heartburn, and then Bart just fucking kills me every time.
Get this girl a Tums. I need an antacid. The embers vibrate again, and now we're on alert. Sera grabs the dagger from her bed and tells Reaver to stay put, and then calls out for Hector. And then, boom! A bright flash of light, and Hector is flying into the chamber, wide open, and crashes into the table. He's not dead, and we know that because the embers only, pulsed. So he's hurt, but he's not dead. And they also move enough to alert us of a presence. Bessie's this bitch. She's annoyingly beautiful, as Connor says, problematically hot. Tiny waist, perfect tits, dress is practically transparent, your typical infuriating, beautiful person.
Yeah.
Vessies is taking advantage of Nyktos not being present to simply lurk around. Rain rushes in and bows upon seeing her, saying he'll take her to Nyktos' chambers, but she declines because she's not here to see Nyktos. With the flick of a finger, Hector's body slides across the floor and Vessies tells Rain to take him. Then the doors slam shut. Vessies sits on the couch, leans back with her arms stretched out and crosses her legs, and it's giving very cunty. She begins to question Sera, like her name, how did she become Nyktos' consort, what was their meet cute, tell me about you guys, but in a tell me about you guys. And Vessies goes on to say that it would make sense that Nyktos would want a, quote, freckled and fat consort.
Oh my god.
And this is where we gathered our army of Discord Miltons.
All
Get the
of
one
them.
with the bleach, the flamethrower, the knife,
all of them.
Yeah, she's going in the burn book of the BBC. BBC burn book.
Yep. Fucking Regina George. God almighty.
Yeah. Fortunately, Sera's got tough skin, and this attempt at an insult does not faze her. She's like, yeah, okay, you're all right, as if fat's supposed to be an insult.
Right.
That's something I've been coming to slowly understand.
Yeah.
And fat's not ugly.
Yeah, I do love that that's Sera's response, though, that she doesn't cower away, and have her feelings hurt. I love that that's Sera's response.
Yeah, especially coming from Vessies, who when she first saw her, immediately did have that kind of insecurity upon seeing her. So yeah, the fact that in this moment of confronting each other, she's standing her ground and not letting it get to her. Vessies asks Sera if Nyktos has told her about the two of them, and Sera shares that Nyktos said Vessies is the worst sort. Oh, I don't know, but right on. The tension continues as Vessies tries to hit Sera where it hurts, saying that Sera thinking Vessies will not be a part of their future is a joke. Sera says the only joke she knows is the one standing before her.
Ooh! That's our girl. She's just so quick with it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Vesey steps towards Sera, and Reaver comes out growling, and sparks are coming from his mouth, so he's learning how to blow fire.
Mm-hmm.
And his little fire hits the hem of Vesey's skirt, but then she kicks him from Sera's arms into the wall. And I'm going to choose to think of this like how fake it looked in in Anchorman, when Baxter gets punted off the bridge by Jack Black. That's how I choose to look at this and think about this, because it makes it less sad. He took him with his foot. I hit him in with a burrito. I could quote that movie from start to finish.
Yeah.
I love Anchorman.
I do too.
So in retaliation, Sera stabs Vesey's in the eye with a dagger.
Yes, she fucking
Fuck
does.
yes, girl.
Yes.
And then blue blood, they got blue blood, starts to pour from the wound, and Vesey's grabs the hilt and pulls the dagger out. And then Sera's hit with like a wave of power and flies back into her wardrobe. Then Vesey's grabs Sera by her hair and throws her, so she's starting to kick her ass.
Yeah.
Sera sees Reaver laying in his mortal form, which is not a good sign, and she feels the embers begin to like panic and activate, and rolls onto her back. So Vesey's kneels down next to Sera, grabs her by the hair again, and Vesey's was the one that sent the Draken to release the entombed gods. That's who it was, not Hanan.
Yeah, she's like crouching down and telling Sera all this shit. By the way,
that was me, just so you know.
Yeah.
She also shares that Tarek and company were looking for life. Sadistic bloodhounds is what they were.
Yeah.
We're glad that they are dead. Vesey's releases Sera's hair and then grips her chin and starts disclosing all of the clues she's gathered along the way. So Vesey's felt Sera when Nyktos first brought her here, and a second time when Sera walked in on Vesey's feeding off of Nyktos. Either Nyktos had given Sera so much of his blood, or Sera is a primal in her culling.
Da-da-da.
Wow. It's almost like someone with like more than 2 brain cells could put this together. Vesey's also felt what happened in Vethi, and Sera tells her that she has indeed had Nyktos' blood along with all of him, including that dick. Girl. And then Sera throat punches Vesey's. This is the best kind of girl fight.
It is.
Oh, it's so good. Because it's like, it's dirty and it's nasty and but it's also just like, it's small, it's one hits. It's not like a constant like guys where they're just constantly swinging. It's like, no, we go for one and we make it hurt, and then we banter a little bit.
She stabbed her in the eye with a dagger and then throat punches her.
Yes, it's great. And then the embers start to ramp up, and Vesey's grabs Sera by the back of her robe and throws her backwards. The doors burst open, and Bella walks in. Our girl is here!
Always showing up.
Vesey's comments on Bella's eyes and says it was her that ascended. Bella's immediately clocking Vesey's bullshit, and Reaver has a bruise forming on his chest. Not good at all. Vesey's is using the whack-ass loopholes that since Sera isn't officially Nyktos' consort, Reaver can't protect her, and Vesey's hasn't done anything wrong.
And this bitch's downfall better just be absolutely otherworldly. I just want her shit rocked.
I need it to be Bev Keen goodness, you know?
Yeah.
Sera covers Reaver with a blanket. He is still not waking up, and the embers buzz, and Sera fears that death is approaching. She calls upon them, and power pours from her chest, and the rush feels different, like a homecoming. So ether sparks from Sera's fingertips and flows over Reaver's body, seeping down into him, and the bruise fades, and he inhales a deep breath. He opens his blue eyes and calls her Lisa. Wow.
Yeah. And so, let's just keep in mind, though, that Sera's doing this in front of Vesey's. So we now, someone that's not supposed to know, now knows.
Yeah, she was pretty much already there. She pretty much was convinced that Sera was who she thought she was.
But this is
and
now
it's confirmed.
So now I'm sweating.
Yeah.
I'm sweating.
Speaking of, Vesey's responds to seeing this exactly how you picture she would. She is horrified. Bella comes in with the sword, but Vesey's catches it and it shatters. Vesey slams her hand into Bella's chest, throwing her against the wall, and Sera throws a dagger at the back of Vesey's head, which is stopped midair and flung back towards Sera.
Whew.
The fight ensues, and Bella summons a bow and arrow made of pure ether. And it is so badass.
It really is. Like, I can picture it in my mind, and we need fan art of that too.
Yes.
So badass.
Vesey warns Bella about firing it, in which Bella says, okay, and she lets it fly. Night gathers in the open doors, and energy charges the air, and thick tendrils of midnight and moonlight flood the room. Any guesses on who a challenger that has entered the arena?
It's Nyktos!
It's Nyktos, bitch! Bella tells him that Vesey knows about Sera. So I love how Bella's just immediately like, she knows. Get her ass. And Vesey calls his name and he simply responds, shut up. And Ether blasts her ass against the wall and knocks her the fuck out.
Yes, he does.
Yes, Nyktos is joined by Orphine and her brother Ethan. I'm calling them Ethan.
Yeah.
Ethan.
He
kneels in front of Sera and he's got some blood on his temple, but she doesn't know if it's his or someone else's. And just...
We're so starved of smut at this point, though, that I'm just like fucking yearning. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, we went like from hot and heavy the first half of this book to straight up nothing. Ice cold. Sera's rationalizing why she helped Reaver in front of Vesey's, and Nyktos simply replies, it's okay. She saved him, that's all that matters. Sera points out what we're all worried about is that Vesey's now knows and it is confirmed that she has the embers of life in her, and she's gonna go straight to Colas. Like, yeah. That's the only thing that Vesey's is logically gonna do.
100%.
But Nyktos says that she won't get a chance to do that. And to this I say, are you gonna fucking kill her? What the fuck?
Seriously, because what else are you gonna do?
Because like I thought killing a pram was a big ass deal. That's a big deal. You can't just snap her neck.
Nyktos don't give a fuck.
He does not. As everyone's kind of like decompressing, we learn that it was Vesey's behind the shades as well. No surprise there.
Right.
So she's just been wreaking havoc all over the place, fucking with him. Bella goes to take Reaver to Nyktos' quarters, and Sera's reluctant to let him go at first. But Nyktos says, he's okay, you're not. Let Bella take care of him so I can take care of you.
Do you like how I put that in there?
That line hit me. I'm not going to lie. It's a man someone telling them, I want to take care of you. I'm going to fold.
Yep.
I'm the eldest sibling. Of course I'm going to fold for someone saying they want to take care of me.
And I'm an only child, so...
Sion and Theon are also here, and we learn that Hector is in fact okay. And we kind of did forget about him for a moment, so like...
Yes, I love that I legitimately forgot about him. Oh, I'm glad he's alive.
Yep. Sera's not quite feeling right on the inside and has been kind of popping up more and more ever since Delos. So to avoid going into stasis again, Sera needs to feed. So Nyktos punctures his wrist and lowers it to Sera's mouth, and she does not hesitate. This time it feels much more natural for her to feed. And the first taste is a shock, a jolt, and there's some tingling in her mouth. She describes it as being like sweet and smoky honey tasting. Sera is drinking. Her fingers are curling tightly around his wrist, and it's just like, it's so like cradling. I
thought it was just so sweet, just a sweet little detail.
Yeah, it's just like the grabbing. But I'm not grabbing the boobies, I'm grabbing the arm. In this moment, Sera finds peace. And she also has a vision of being in the courtyard at the House of Hades in a black gown, cheeks flushed and feverish, wild green eyes, holding a short sword. A shadow stone blade glitters, a pale silver curl dances across her cheek, and she grins at nothing. That's it.
Yep.
Cut to black. Nyktos says, I think that's enough, and stops the feeding. It's like, what is this?
Like, was that one of his memories? Because I was thinking back to Poppy feeding off Kieran. It's like, was that one of his memories? And he does indeed confirm that it was.
He confirms. It doesn't take but all of that conversation for the heat to travel over Sarah's body, and she feels frantically taking her robe off. She's just like, I gotta get out of this thing.
I'm fucking
I'm
hot.
feeling so hot. Are you feeling hot?
Overstimulated.
Yes. Nyktos says that he should leave, and as he goes to do just that, Sera notices the strain of his pants, and she's like, well, you want this as much as I want this, so...
All bets are off.
Yup. There's a quick battle of the, no, we shouldn't, but we want to, but we shouldn't, but we have to. And it ultimately ends in a yes on both fronts, and we're off to the races.
Let's go!
They are on each other instantly, and both of their hands going to his pants. So the two of them are both just like, get that dick out. All the thoughts are out of mind as Nyktos' hands steady on Sarah's hips, and Sera just like, yeah, she just takes them all. Loves it. Nyktos has his arm around Sarah's waist with his hand buried in her hair at the nape of her neck. Once again, I'm done. And point blank tells her, fuck me. She does just that. Sarah's on top. It's hot as fuck. And then he moves to his knees while holding Sera in place and takes her to the floor. Those movements are very hot.
Yeah. The mechanics for me were a little bit fuzzy at this point, but I was like, all right, we're rolling with it. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, his legs would have been right out in front of him.
Yeah.
And so he would have had to bend his legs backwards, roll himself up. Yeah, that's
it's a little fuzzy, but whatever.
That's some effort there.
Yeah.
That's harder for me to imagine than what we discussed in Under the Covers with the shifting of the pants with one arm.
Yeah.
Shifting pants with one arm is more realistic than whatever the fuck he just did.
No, I completely agree, because I'm like, I don't know what the fuck. What are y'all doing? Okay, let's go.
Yeah. And right as they're both about to climax, Nyktos pulls her head back and presses his fangs in, but doesn't break the skin. And just like that one little...
God.
Yes.
Was.
When they finish, Sera tells him that he could feed from her, but he says that he won't because he does not deserve this.
Okay.
And I say, okay, pick me.
Yeah. That part it was sad, but then I was like, dude, come on.
Yeah. Give me any other reason.
Yeah.
Like literally anything. Not necessarily not even say like I don't deserve this, just saying I don't deserve to feed from you. Just say that.
Right.
Cuz like, well, if you don't think that you deserved it, why'd you do it? It just Inside Nyktos' private quarters, there's a large oval table with chairs and a couch, and the walls are bare, so there's like no personal touches in here. Reaver's sleeping with his head in Sarah's lap, and her mind is combing through all of the recent events, including what Bessie said about Nyktos willing to do anything for her. She feels the embers vibrate, but with the urge to end life instead of heal it. That's new.
Yeah.
Nyktos exits the bathing chamber and he asks how she's doing. She responds that it was her choice, not just the influence of his blood. So like, hooray!
For consent clarification, because we know in the past that the influence of the blood.
Been fuzzy, but yes, we get the confirmation. He says he can't release Vessies because she'll go to Colas, but he's also hopeful that once Sera is officially recognized as his consort, that Vessies will just simply not do that and just pump the brakes on all of her fuckity fuck that she's pulling.
Yeah.
So, because, she is the primal of rights and ascensions and was weakened when Colas took Ethos' embers. So, she's in a little bit of a vulnerable-ish state, I guess.
Yeah.
They go back and forth for a bit over why Nyktos told Vessies Sera is his consort in title only, and Sera asks what she actually feels for her. He says he feels the closest thing to peace he's ever experienced.
Sweet.
It is Coronation Day today.
Yay!
And Erlina is doing Sera's hair and Bella's hanging out with them. It's very like morning hanging with the bride. And Erlina finishes up and hands Sera a mirror. She just looks super beautiful. She has pale curls down her spine with braids on the sides, no veil, pale curls. I'm like, she's a redhead. Nope, she's not. That's Poppy. Pale curls down her spine with braids on the sides, no veil, some light makeup, and we're gonna just take a moment for the gown. It is a warm silver shade, close to the color of Nyktos' eyes, because
Duh.
The slates of the scrollwork on Nyktos and his guards' tunics, and the design trails down the rest of the gown. So, like,
A theme.
okay. It's a tight fit from her kind of breast bodice to the hips, and the skirt falls in wispy layers, and there's diamonds all over it. She describes it as the gown is starlight. Yes, I love the accentuations of the dress to match for Nyktos.
Mm-hmm.
It feels this dress is made as Nyktos. I don't know. The
As
parallels
ownership.
Exactly. It's slightly close enough that I'm like, it brings up those thoughts, but enough that I'm like, far away from it that I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll let it go.
Yeah.
Because it's also just so fucking pretty. So Bella then straps Sarah's dagger to her thigh.
That's your
Hell
BFF,
yeah.
girl. That's your BFF. She said, don't you forget this.
Nope. Bella is that ride or die.
She is.
Sera asks where Rain is, and asks Bella to give them a moment. She tells him that she wants to know what Nyktos sacrificed for her, and Rain shares that Veses learned of the deal a few years ago. Nyktos agreed to service her needs with his blood, to feed her whenever she desired, and he did it to protect Sera from Colas this entire time. Once Sera becomes his consort, she will no longer be a secret to protect. We also learn that Nyktos' skin is always cold, because of Veses feeding from him. Sera is simply pissed and says, well, I'm gonna fucking kill that bitch.
Yeah.
And we say,
I love that.
Yeah, please do.
Yes.
Please do, because what the fuck?
So now we have more insight as to what exactly is going on behind closed doors.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 40. Rain tries to talk Sera out of her state of rage, because Nyktos is waiting for her. He's like, calm down. He's waiting. We gotta go.
Calm down. Just calm.
Sera finally opens up about having walked in on them the day that she went into stasis, and Rain asks if Sera loves Nyktos, and she can't find the words. Sera enters the foyer of the palace, joined by Bella, Layla, and Rain. Sion and Rahar turn from the doors, and everyone is simply in awe of this gown, and how could you not be? They exit to the courtyard, and Ector's waiting at a horse-drawn carriage. So as they pile in to take off, Sarah's asking herself if she does in fact love Nyktos, having some very relatable panicky feelings. Ector draws her back in conversation, and she confirms that she does indeed want to be Nyktos' consort. We pull up on City Hall. It is huge. There's guard stationed at the entrances surrounding the entry of the house. Like, the entirety of this house is surrounded. Rahar leads the way, and Ector and Rain are in step behind them. Ios comes up to Sera and asks if she's ever been in love. A lot of love talk, almost like you're going to a wedding.
Right.
It doesn't take long to get our answer, because when Sera gets to the chamber, she sees Nyktos at the other end. She knew right then that she is in love with him. It's at this point that Sera sees him as Ash, but for the sake of consistency, we're sticking with Nyktos.
Yeah. Because it is, by now we do know that Ash and Nyktos are the two, we've said this before, they're the two different pieces of his personality. But I just thought it was a good point to add in that now she's not seeing him as Nyktos anymore. She is seeing him as Ash. But we're not doing the flippy floppy.
Yes, no, that's going to get way too complicated. So Nyktos then moves towards her and whispers in her ear, breathe, Lisa. And now we get a moment for Nyktos' crown, which is the color of midnight, with a row of swords carved from smooth stone surrounding a middle spike in the shape of a crescent moon. Diamonds cover the moon and tips of the swords. So it's like similar, but not quite a copy of Colas's crown.
Yeah.
But it's like a pairing to it. Sera finally tells Nyktos she just wants to let him know that she does want this. And it's like, okay, are we renegotiating the contract now?
See, that's in the back of my mind too. So
the background music stops, which means it's go time. Usually the music starts and it's go time, but that's fine. Sera and Nyktos join hands and they walk towards the entrance. Nyktos says 36, tells her that he counted her freckles again. It's become a habit of his. And Sera feels the embers buzz, but this time they feel right. That little ball of hair up in her vagina feels right.
Feels right.
The hall contains dozens of Draken perched on the columns. Nyktos not to be found. Strange. Iron gray banners are hung with the symbol of 2 crescent moons facing each other below a wolf's head. Rain begins the ceremony with Ash's full namesake. He says, "Bow for the Asher, the one who is blessed, the guardian of the souls, and the primal god of common men and endings, the ruler of the Shadowlands, the primal of death."
Ooh. Never
Chapter
get. I mean, it's like never not intimidating. It's like big deal.
Yeah,
big deal.
very big deal. Yeah. Chapter 41. Sera and Nyktos are walking towards the dais, and Nyktos tells Sera to breathe again. Which, I mean, relatable. I definitely forgot to at mine. The thrones and Sera's crown come into view. Now we get a description of Sera's crown. Spires carved from shadowstone forming a halo of glittering crescent moons. Delicate chains of black stone hung between the peaks, dripping clusters of diamonds along tiers of chains connecting to the front of each spire. I can't picture that for shit, but I'm sure it's gorgeous.
Well, and I know Jardin has the paired crowns. She's shared pictures of them. Some company actually made Nyktos and Sera's crowns.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, that's
They're
right.
beautiful. They're beautiful. Yeah.
So Nyktos leads Sera between the thrones, and he turns towards her, saying, "Look at me, it's only us." He lowers himself to one knee, bowing to Sera. The response through the crowd indicates that this is a rare happening. It's also noted that Ates and kin are in attendance. Then Nyktos crowns Sera. The crowd quiets, and Nyktos instructs them to rise. He says, "Rise for the one who was born of blood and ash, the light and the fire, and the brightest moon. Rise for the consort of the Shadowlands." They raise their joined hands, applause filling the room, and silvery white light appears around their palms and down their arms, the embers humming in Sera's chest. Nyktos says it's an imprint from the array. The crowd erupts in celebration. Sera notices one primal who gives her a small smile and presses a hand of jewels to her chest and nods. Who's that? I don't know. The Draken illuminate the sky with silver fire and let out a call. They take flight, and in comes Nyktos in Draken form, landing in front of the thrones. And I ask, is this an open roof building? And once again, how fucking big is Nyktos?
Where's everyone fitting? Where's everyone fitting?
Because all I can picture is Shrek, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
That end scene in the cathedral, and Nyktos is the size of the dragon.
I want you to know, as I was putting the notes together at this part, your voice did pop into my head. I was like, how big is this? What does this place look like?
Hi, it's me. How big is it, Megan?
Will it fit?
What's the square footage? Sera looks at Nyktos, her husband. He squeezes her hand, and as she looks down, she sees the imprint. It's a series of golden swirls over the top of her hand, between her thumb and pointer finger, and then sweeping along her palm, and Nyktos has the same mark. Sounds familiar. And Nyktos says that he may have stretched the truth about the imprint being from the array. Ethos was known for doing it as a public display of approval over a union, and the imprint is a manifestation from the embers. It will only fade upon death. No one else with the imprint is alive due to Colas killing them, solely because Ethos favored the unions.
God.
That's it. So, recap on who Colas has killed out of envy: Nyktos' wife, Reaver's parents, and anyone who had a union favored by Ethos. Oh, and Ethos' mother. Or, not mother, wife.
Yeah.
So, what the bad news bears.
Yep.
The primals are in attendance include Maya, the primal goddess of love, beauty, and fertility, which is the one who helped remove Nyktos' cardia, if we remember. Phanos, not Thanos, primal of wisdom, loyalty, and duty, and Empress, who reminds Sera of a hawk. Interesting. Sera notices the one that was smiling at her earlier, and Nyktos tells her it's the primal Keela. Lore alert on who is the primal Keela?
Who is that?
She is the primal of rebirth. Keela captures the souls of babes that pass and sends them back. And so a baby who dies at their first breath hasn't really truly lived. No past, no present. She gives them a rebirth. She sees the soul of all she captures, and Nyktos said that she views them as her children, often following them throughout their life. And she also helped Nyktos with capturing Sotoria's soul. Keela approaches the dais and admires the imprint. She asks if she can look at it, and Sera extends her hand, and Keela holds it. Sera feels that charge of energy again, and Keela shares she didn't ever think she'd see one again. Keela asks about where the inspiration for Sera's title came from, and Nyktos says it was from his consort's hair. She then smiles at Nyktos and says that his father would be so proud of him.
I'm so emotional.
Chapter 42, the celebration continues on, and Sera is feeling welcomed for the first time in her life. Nyktos and Sera finally take their leave out to a carriage, and he offers her his hand to get in. It's the small little things.
Mm-hmm.
Some small political talk strikes up between Nyktos and Sera, and he asks her to sit with him. A bit caught off guard, she does, but he leads her into his lap as her seat. What a surprise. He asks if she minds, and she doesn't. So Nyktos asks Sera how her neck is, and she says achy, and he proceeds to massage it. And he asks about how her neck is doing because of the crown.
Yeah.
Because the crown is so heavy.
Yeah, she, even when she looks at it, when she looked at it, she was like, I have to wear that.
Yeah, and he's like, well, you don't have to wear it all the time. And so, yeah, a massage. Where do we think this is going? Sera thanks him as Ash, and she asks if he minds that she calls him that. It's very quite the opposite. Yeah. He tells her that he has missed it, actually, and his hands slide down to her waist. It's almost as if it's just his on setting. It's like you say Ash and his dick gets hard.
Yep.
Then he tells her he needs to admit something. The only thing that's been on his mind is her in this dress. He goes through and ranks the order of ways he's envisioned Sera wearing her crown and dagger, and it all involves her being naked.
Love that.
He calls it an obsession that he's not worthy of exploring, and Sera replies, "You're worthy." And we're off on the super hot carriage ride. Anyone seen Bridgerton?
Oh my god, for real.
Oh, that's all I could think of in this scene. All I could think of. As Nyktos is feeling up her thigh, he comes across the dagger, and he begins to tease her with his fingers and asks if she'll appease his obsession to call him Ash when she comes. A heated exchange of basically, well, why don't you show me? Leads us into Sera straddling Nyktos and riding him, ending her, indeed, coming and calling him Ash.
Yep.
They arrive at the palace, and Bella's waiting, and Veses is still in stasis. Good. Hope she stays there.
Yep.
They're approaching their chambers, and Sera says she doesn't want to sleep alone tonight. She just wants to be with Ash. Oh.
Sweet.
Yeah. And so there's a quick little lore nugget in here that Nyktos shares that other than primals, only the eldest gods can turn their essence into power like electricity.
And I thought that was worthy of noting, because what does Poppy summon when she got really pissed off when Castiel was taken? Fucking lightning. And I know,
she does.
Okay, so only the eldest gods. Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, all right.
Interesting. Nyktos asks what changed Sera's mind about him. I also love that we made a point to say that we're calling him Nyktos, and all of our notes say Ash.
I'm sorry. I thought I changed it. I thought I got all of them. I'm sorry.
I'm like, oh, there's Ash everywhere.
I'm so sorry.
It's so easy to work around, but I just thought it's so funny.
Whatever. Y'all know who the fuck we're talking about.
You know.
You know.
So Nyktos asks what changed Sera's mind about him, and she tells him that she now knows about Veses and thanks him. Nyktos tells Sera that he didn't want her to know about the deal because he didn't want her to feel responsible. We also learn that Veses and Ash never had an intimate relationship aside from her being a blood-sucking leech. The conversation continues, and Nyktos shares that Veses has always wanted Colas, but he doesn't want anything to do with her. So that also just goes to show how icky she is, because she's thirsting after the villain.
She wants him. Yeah.
Ash shares that Veses followed him to the Shadow Temple the first time he met Sera. Interesting. And this deal between Nyktos and Veses has been in place for 3 years. So since that point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, excuse me. Nyktos thanks Sera for just being herself, and he begins to tell her, I wish, but cuts himself off and kisses her passionately. Sera wakes and they're in bed together, and a little bump and grind stirs Nyktos from slumber.
Mm.
But he declines Sera's invitation to satisfy because he needs to feed. And Sera tells him, well, then feed, and offers her throat.
Ah!
But then she's rolled onto her stomach, and then he bites her throat.
Whoo!
She holds back on giving into the desire to, like, simply start grinding on Nyktos out of, like, not wanting to push the limits like Vessi's does. But to our delighted surprise, they start fucking.
Yeah. Yeah.
They finish, and Nyktos asks Sera if she's okay, and she says yes. He begins to once again say, I wish, but doesn't finish his sentence.
Bro, like, out with it already. Don't do this.
Oh, you wish what?
I wish for fish. Fucking, come on.
The next day, Nyktos and Sera go to Messina, near the capital of Ireland. We're headed to Cauldron Manor to see the Balfours. Sera notices the travel by Shadow Step wasn't as bad this time due to the embers getting stronger. They're discussing how this approach to Delphi and Princess Kaylee about the embers is going to go when Sera asks Nyktos what anxiety tastes like. He says it tastes like too heavy cream.
Interesting.
And Sera describes it, saying it's this constant feeling that something bad is about to go down, even when nothing is happening. And when there's a chance that things can go bad, it becomes the only thing that can happen. Mic drop.
Fucking nailed it. We know JLA has a background in psych, but fucking nailed it.
Nailed it. They approach the gates of the manor. Guards demand that they announce themselves, and Nyktos gives his full title. But the guards do not believe him. The air begins to change, and birds are flying in a frenzy, dogs howling, horses go crazy.
Like,
Nyktos dips his chin, and his skin thins out, so he's peacocking. Shadows start appearing, ether the color of midnight pours out all around them.
mm-hmm.
So then the guards fall to their knees and bow.
They're like, oh, fuck.
As you do. Nyktos tells them to rise, and Sera says they're here to meet with Princess Kaylee. They're led into Cauldron Manor to a receiving chamber where we find Kaylee reading on a couch. The reunion is short-lived as Kaylee notices Nyktos is a primal, but he assures her that he and Sera aren't there to bring harm. Kaylee shares that when other primals have visited, they can take great offense when respect is not given to them.
Which means Colas is a fuckbag.
Correct. Nyktos says they're only here to speak with Delphi. Kaylee leads them to the library, and when they enter, they hear a man's voice that says, I've been waiting for 3 long years.
Reminds me of Titanic.
Yep, that's immediately, I've been waiting 84
It's been 84 years.
So, hey, we found Delphi. He's got dark hair and onyx eyes similar to Holland's, and he sarcastically says he's been growing impatient, but Cauldron Manor is lovely, and the Balfour name will be honored long after the Great Kingdom's fall.
Dude.
And Ash argues it's already a great name, which, I mean, yeah.
Right.
Delphi replies, but it will become an old, honored one long after my bones turn to ash.
And now the foreshadowing, it's like, fuck.
Like, I know we're not at the end of this series. We're also not finished with the From Blood and Ash series. It's still obviously being written. We now know that we're getting 2 more books instead of 1 more book in that series, which I'm so fucking hyped about.
I am too.
So I'm like,
but there's
what
enough. We
else?
have enough. If you've done the tandem read like we had, we have enough lore at this point that shit like this is like, oh my God, this goes so deep. They're so, oh my God.
It's amazing. Delphi begins to go over what Nyktos and Sera are here seeking. So we got a lore alert, a big old hefty one.
This is a big one. This is like a 3-parter. Yeah.
So we get the Array, the Undying Hills, and the Conduit. So we will start with the Array. So the Array are worried about what they couldn't predict. So their greatest fear was being was there being an imbalance of power. So the Fates wanted a failsafe in the scenario of a new primal rising if there wasn't a primal of life to ascend them. One caught a glimpse of what was to come, but their sight wasn't powerful enough to see what they created could be used to bring about what they sought to prevent, a false king. So they created a conduit strong enough to briefly store and transfer embers, both volatile and unpredictable, in their raw, unsheltered state. Okay. This conduit is found in the Undying Hills. And how did that stretch of mountain earn its name, you ask? So glad you asked, actually. The Undying Hills are where the Ere conjured the heart of the mountains. There's stone created by the flames of dragons. It's the first of its kind, known for its indestructible strength, jagged beauty, and silver sheen. It's called the Star. The Undying Hills earned its name because only the most tolerant plants and animals can withstand it. And the Ere had to erupt half of the mountain simply to find the diamond. Okay.
It's
so
messy.
the star is a big ass fucking diamond.
Yep.
Is what I understand from that.
The Ere blew these mountains up to get.
Yeah, they're like, we want big shiny rock, so we're gonna erupt big mountain.
Dig, you dig.
Yeah. And finally, the conduit is only a primal or Ere can use the conduit because of the essence needed for the transfer. Contact between either the primal the embers currently reside in and the god they are transferred to or held by both primals. And the star is what transfers the embers. So they've got like the star is like a little Bluetooth connection for the embers, essentially. Now, we remember that a Fate told Colas about the star. Why? Why would one of them do this?
Who would do that? And it's also, I just would like everyone to know, I believe now is the point in the episode where Megan and I are starting to get a little bit delirious. So just brace for ultimate clusterfuck chaos.
This last final couple chapters here, hold on to your fucking butts. Remember, a Fate told Colas about the star. We already went over that. And we're also reminded that when the primals begin to feel emotion, so did the Ere. So again, whoever told Colas about the star could have had any motivation. Delphi specifically says if their emotions were exploited, forcing them into such an act to protect someone they loved. So much fuckery.
Yep.
So where's the diamond now? Colas has it.
He has it.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
However, Delphi says that they don't technically need the star to remove the embers from Sera. She's a living being that continues to help the embers grow in power. It's not the same as if they were born in a primal or like a fully ascended person. So in this case, they simply need to be taken from her. Easy, right? Wrong. Delphi says Nyktos simply needs to feed from Sera. Feed until the last drop of blood is taken, leaving nothing but the embers, and then they'll transfer, and Sera will die.
Great. That solves nothing.
Cool. So glad we got this news. Nyktos is not happy with this news, understandably, and Sera starts laughing. Her fate was always inevitable. Delphi shares that the embers always belonged to Nyktos. They were just hidden in Sera's bloodline. All it took was one drop of primal blood for them to grow stronger in her and make it impossible for anyone to remove the embers. They have merged with her.
So it's a sick joke because she had to feed from him, and that is what ultimately fused the embers to her.
Yeah, it was pretty much completely fucked from the start because she had to feed in order to keep up her strength in order to survive what the embers were putting her through. But by feeding, she's now awoken the embers and growing stronger. Like, oh my god.
And they're attached to her.
Yeah. Great. This
fucked.
is all great. Now we're presented with 3 options, none of which we would like to go with. Option 1, Nyktos becomes the true primal of life and restores balance to the realms. 2, someone else, another primal, takes them. 3, Sera completes her ascension and dies. Okay. Nyktos grabs Delphi by the throat and slams him into the bookshelf. Ether begins to fill Delphi's eyes, and blood starts dripping from his nose and mouth. He begins to spasm, and his veins become illuminated. But Sera calls back Nyktos, tells him that it's not Delphi's fault.
Like, literally, just don't kill the messenger.
Yeah, like, hold the phone, buddy. Nyktos releases him, and Delphi says that he's seen his own death. Nyktos was supposed to kill him right then. He says, perhaps there is a silver beast and a brightest moon. 2, not 1. 2, then 1. Oh my god, these fucking riddles, man. With that, Sera and Nyktos are like, fucking bye, and they leave Cauldron Manor. So, as they approach the pines, Sera stops him and tells him he has to do it. Nyktos rebuttals, like, no, he doesn't. Sera realizes he could have removed the embers at any point, actually. Nyktos says there has to be another way they could retrieve the star. And Sera argues it's impossible, but also finally says that she wants a future and wants to live, but she needs them to defeat Colas and the Rot gone, and Elysium and the mortal realm safe more. The discussion escalates, and Nyktos says that he cannot end Sera's life and that there was another option to save her. He says, I would have loved you if I could have. There would have been no stopping me. The embers hum, and Sera tells Nyktos to kiss her. Tears fall from her eyes as they kiss, and one hand grips her braid and the other at her hip.
So sad.
They break for a moment, long enough to look into each other's eyes, and we all know what time it is.
Right.
They quickly undress, and Nyktos takes Sera to the forest floor. He says, I wish I'd never had my cardia removed.
So we finally get what he kept saying, I wish.
Wishes. Ash cries primal tears of grief. Sera asks Nyktos to make her a promise. When the time comes, he'll take her to the lake, and he promises.
That's why the lake is just so, every time she brings up the lake, it's just so fucking sad.
It is sad, I will say. It's very sad. Nyktos and Sera, in chapter 46, and we will kind of throw up another content warning here for some gore and death. And Nyktos and Sera are snuggled up. Sera's thinking about what death would look like. Well, she won't have to wonder much longer because they smell burning wood, and Nyktos says that death is everywhere.
Yay.
Shouts are heard from the rise. What's happening? Fire slams into the palace. We're under attack. Ash jumps from the balcony to the ground. Scion shows up from the gates and says Vesi's is still in her cell, but Dakai's have flooded the rise, as well as in Leith. Bella and Rahar are on the battlefield. Remember Davon, Nyktos' distant relative from Delos? He flies in, burning the ground to shit. Scion says Kin showed up before the Dakais, and Nyktos walks towards the courtyard and sees an absolute massacre. Hands and arms are on pikes, they are bound, drilled into the ground, like there are people with chests torn open, hearts are gone, throats are slashed, like heads are rolling. It is not good. Unfortunately, one of these bodies is Ector, and next to him is Ios. Sera begins to glow, and Nyktos asks if Kin is still here and tells Scion to summon the armies. Ether pours from him, fangs bared, eyes pure orbs of silver. Davon's heart, roar is heard, and Nyktos launches straight into the air. Ether turns Nyktos' skin a tone of molted shadowstone, and his wings appearing as dark, thick clouds. Davon is snapping, flames forming in his throat. Nyktos lifts his hand, and with a twist of his wrist, Davon's wing cracks.
Ooh.
Badass.
Yeah.
Sera heads to the pikes, going straight to Ios, and she cuts the ropes from her wrists and ankles and tells Scion to help her get Ios down. They lower Ios' body to the ground, and Sera drops to her knees, tapping into the embers. Sera focuses on Ios' face. Ether ripples over her body and falls into her, lighting up her veins, and then Sera feels the ground tremble. A wave of energy fires off, throwing Sera back, and as she gets back to Ios, she sees a pink line encircling her throat. So, like, the wound had healed, because Ios' head was pretty much almost severed completely. Ios' eyes open, and she is alive! Thank fucking God!
Thank
Scion
God.
calls to a guard, Kars, who takes Ios off of the battleground. Sera starts to do the same with Ector, but the Deikais are on their way, coming in fast, and Sion ends up having to pull her back off of them, and a Deikai launches straight for them. Sera grabs a sword and chops its head clean off. The Deikais have now swarmed Ector's body, and Sera begins slashing away, trying to get to him. Rain kicks one away, only to discover that there's nothing left.
I don't know where my lighter is. I don't know where the lighter is, but R.I.P. Ector.
R.I.P. Ector. Yeah, I was always like, there was a tiny bit of me that was always suspicious of him because of how he took out the assassin before Nyktos could even talk to them. But he was nothing. He was an innocent guy. Just doing his job. Sera channels a deep power filled with rage, and the Deikais are simply obliterated. She dissociates, and her nose begins to bleed. Rain calls out to her. Sion says they need to get inside, and then Devon crashes into the rise. He then falls into the courtyard, shifting into his mortal form as he hits the ground. The air turns cold. Here comes Nyktos, and the primal mist is simply pouring out of him, drawing the Deikai straight to him. And Sera hears Nyktos in her thoughts, saying, "Run, run, Lisa." Nyktos and Orphine arrive, taking out the Deikai with their flames, thank God, and shadows fill the skies and spill in. The Sumerian have arrived. Sera's fighting in solid blackout.
Because remember, they are not our ally.
A flash of golden hair and golden paint appears. Sera turns to strike with the sword, but someone grabs her wrist. It's Ates. Sera thanks him for coming to their aid. He tells her not to, and forces her hand to drop the sword. Sera hears Nyktos call her name, and her eyes land on him, drenched in blood, as he fights his way towards her. Ates tells Sera that all they want is her. If she removes the charm, no more lives will be lost. If she refuses, his brother will leave none but Nyktos alive. Sera makes Ates promise no one else will be harmed, and agrees. She feels the sensation of the charm on her wrists being lifted.
Well, fuck.
Chapter 47, last chapter of the book.
This is it.
Sera dreams of her lake, drifting through the water. She surfaces and sees the bank, Nyktos standing instead of the wolf. She comes to and runs her memory through the last few events, and as she inhales, she gets the scent of vanilla and stale lilac. Opening her eyes, she sees nothing but darkness. She moves to stand and feels something tighten around her throat, and it's a band attached to a chain.
This is a bad place.
Very bad place. An unfamiliar voice enters the room. Sera looks down to her right hand. The imprint is still there. Good on you, Sera.
Good.
Poppy didn't remember that part.
Neither did we.
Neither did we. She finally makes out that she's in a cage of gold bars, an entire room set up, and notices a gold throne are set on the side. The unfamiliar male has golden hair and a golden mask with pale blue eyes.
Who do we
A
think
revenant.
it is?
Sera realizes she's seen him in Wayfair with her mother. Fucking Callum. This cockroach that keeps turning up. I know technically this is his origin, but to us, he's just the cockroach that keeps coming back and he won't fucking die.
Yep.
And we hate him. We hate him. Sera notices her clothes have also been changed, and she's now wearing this like sheer gossamer fabric. Callum reveals that she was indeed speaking with Queen Calliope for years. It was indeed him who told Sera's mother how to kill a primal. Colas also learned this when Sera's father, Lamont, summoned Ethos to make the deal, demanding that another one be made that would free Sera from existing promises of the original deal.
So her father went to Colas and was trying to, or no, to Ethos. Did he go? Yeah, he went and tried to like swing her out of this bullshit deal.
Yeah. And the only reason that, Colas learned that, but yes. That part hit me. I was like, oh my God, her dad tried to get her out of it.
Yeah.
Colas figured out Ethos did something with the embers when they didn't pass to him upon Ethos's death. And Sera pieces together that Colas drained his own brother.
In an attempt to get the fucking embers.
So not only did he kill him, he had to drain him dry. Colas has known Sera's carried the embers this entire time. So why hasn't he just taken them already? Callum simply says blood and ash. I'm sorry? Sera turns to the wall that opens and sees Colas. She realizes she was being trained to end Colas, not Nyktos.
Mhm.
I thought we'd come to this realization already,
Right.
but that's just me. Colas approaches the cage and questions Sera for not kneeling. She asks him what blood and ash means, and his reply is the name of the prophecy.
Fucking killing me, Smalls. Fucking
So,
prophecy.
per JLA fashion, I'm fairly certain. Yes, the last chapter of the previous book also ended in on the prophecy as well.
Yeah.
So JLA just keeps piling on a little bit more detail every time.
That's refresher.
So, refresher on the lore alert for the prophecy about blood and ash. This prophecy was dreamt by the ancients, only known by a few, only repeated by the descendant of the gods of divination, Penelope, by the last oracle to be born. Remember, Delphi mentioned the last oracle was born of the Balfour bloodline. Penelope didn't receive a complete vision, but prophecies often come in threes, a beginning, a middle, and an end. So great, what parts have we fucking heard? And we're about to get, so we'll run through this entire prophecy again, because why not?
Why not?
All right. So, from the desperation of golden crowns and born of mortal flesh, a great primal power rises as the air to the lands and seas, to the skies and all the realms. A shadow in the ember, a light in the flame, to become a fire in the flesh. When the stars fall from the night, the great mountains crumble into the seas, the old bones raise their swords beside the gods. The false one will be stripped from the glory until the two born of the same misdeeds, born of the same great and primal power in the mortal realm. A first daughter, with blood full of fire, fated for the once promised king. And the second daughter, with blood full of ash and ice, the other half of the future king. Together they will remake the realms as they usher in the end. And so it will begin with the last chosen blood spilled, and the great conspirator birthed from the flesh and fire of the primals will awaken as the harbinger and the bringer of death and destruction to the lands gifted by the gods. Beware, for the end will come from the west to destroy the east and lay waste to all which lies between. We have heard this before, yes? Yep. Colas continues to elaborate on the prophecy. He believes one of the two daughters is Mycella, and the other one is Sera.
Mm-hmm.
End of the prophecy being, for the one born of the blood and the ash, the bearer of two crowns, and the bringer of life to mortal god and Draken. A silver beast with blood seeping from its jaws of fire, bathed in the flames of the brightest moon to ever be birthed, will become one. Ooh.
All right.
Ooh.
Because that part is new. We haven't gotten that part. That's a new part.
Like a silver beast with blood seeping from its jaws of fire.
Delphi brought up about the silver beast and the brightest moon, and her coronation.
That's her title.
That's her title.
The brightest moon.
Yes.
Blood resembling the strength of life, ash resembling the bravery of death, life and death.
Mm-hmm.
Colas tells Sera she's now the bearer of two crowns, the crown of a consort and the crown of a princess. He delayed the coronation to make sure the embers were strong enough for Sera to fulfill the prophecy. So now this prophecy is really getting out of control, because we're going to add another part into here. We're going to add another little tidbit.
Yep.
And the great powers will stumble and fall, some all at once, and they will fall through the fires into a void of nothing. Those left standing will tremble as they kneel, will weaken as they become small, as they become forgotten. For finally, the primal rises, the giver of blood and the bringer of bone, the primal of blood and ash. Okay, so the primal of life and death. Colas wants to be the primal of life and death. That's his goal.
Yep.
Sera doesn't hold back on the insults, because why would she?
Mm-hmm.
And then Colas appears inside the cage with her, and she feels a pressure on her throat and begins to grab at it. He is force choking her.
Mm-hmm.
And Colas tries to rationalize this want for power, saying that every other primal wants the same thing. He says Ethos wanted the same thing, and that's why he put the embers in Sera, for Nyktos to claim. Colas goes on to say that Ethos hated him because Mycella loved Colas, even though he didn't return the sentiments. Sera collapses, not being able to breathe, as Colas continues on his power-hungry tangent of delusion. He tells Sera he's going to drain her. He thanks her for keeping the embers safe and sinks his fangs into her throat. And as he's drinking from Sera and she feels death approaching, Satoria comes through.
It's Brittany, bitch!
She just is able to, like, croak out, like, "You're killing me again."
Mm-hmm.
Like, just the you're killing me again. And then that's like, whoa.
Yeah.
He does not believe it, but Ates pitches in with how Keela helped Ethos capture Satoria's soul. Colas releases Sera, cradling her face, and her gaze goes to the open doors to the trees. She sees a wolf, more silver than white, Nyktos.
And done.
End scene. That's it.
That's
oh
it.
my god.
That's all you're getting.
That's the end of that book.
That's all
Holy
she
shit.
wrote.
It's the most aggravated I've been.
Yeah.
It might be, while I'm not saying it's a bad book, it's definitely my least favorite of the ones we've read so far of the series.
Listen, I'm right there with you. This one is at the bottom for Flesh and Fire series for me. I do love it. But yes, this one and Gilded Bones, those are my bottom two runners so far. Those are, for me personally.
Yeah.
Those are, yeah.
But no, still a ride. Still a great ride.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just love like how the switch of Colas is so chilling, going from literally about to drain her dry to then like cradling her face as if she's like this little baby that he needs to protect and he cares about so much.
Yeah.
Delusional, like so frightening. We're just terrified for Sera. So on
are.
that note,
let's look at some fan art.
Yay! So our first piece of fan art is by @avocat_art. We've had their stuff before. Very steamy of Nyktos and Sera against that flowered wall, and just she's got the hand on the hips, and both of her legs are around the waist, and it's hot. It's
really
nice.
good.
Love it. Then our next one is by @Elysiana.the.1 on Instagram, and I love this art so much.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Nyktos just holding up Sera as she foams at the mouth. He looks so done with her, like, do you see what I have to deal with?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
I love the style is so cute too. It's so cute. Yeah.
Just the cartoony look of it. I love that art. It's so fun.
It is.
Next one is by @Emilia.Mildner. And this one is just, it's beautiful. Like, the way Nyktos, like, holding her the way that we just fold for every time. And just, like, looking up at him and just, like, oh my god. Like, my husband and I are the same height, so I don't get this positioning ever of looking up into, like, up into his eyes. So just all of this art, I'm just like, man, what's that like? And this last one, I'm wanting to leave off on a positive, cute note, is @Art by Mickey, and it's Sera and Jadis when she's showing her how to eat off a fork.
So
and it's
fucking
cute. It's adorable.
It's so cute.
And then I'm pretty sure in the back in the window there is Nyktos having himself a little break from his kid. But yes, they're freaking adorable.
They are.
So cute. I love it. All right. Well, that's just great. Everyone happy, everyone having a great time. So not only have we been put through the emotional ringer watching Sera and Nyktos play this like will they won't they game with confessing their true feelings, but when we're finally in the place where they have finally expressed themselves and we can finally start like working towards like this healthy relationship, Sera has been taken to Colas. She is captive.
Yeah. There's so many highlights out of this book that did stick out for me, like, you know, the emotional turmoil and Sera like cutting her emotions off. Those parts hit really hard for me because it's like, oh, I've been there, I've done that, I know how to do that. So I love how all of that translated really well. But yeah, the secret's out. The secret's out. She's got Satoria's soul in her, and so on one hand, yay, she's not gonna die. But on the other, it's like, oh no, she's with the one fucking person who shouldn't know about it. And there's no telling what he's going to do now that he knows and has her in his. So we're very hopeful, though, that Callum will become a pincushion once again.
Fingers
Smug
crossed.
bastard.
We can hope. And now we turn our attention back to Poppy and Castile.
Let's go.
It's been a hot minute since we saw them last. Like
Mhm.
between this book and taking our little small break for our movies.
They've been like in limbo for a while.
Yeah. Thankfully, we didn't leave them in like a dire situation, but still.
Yeah.
Things are starting to line up together in terms of what we know from each series, combining much more consistently, I would say, as we get through in these books. You know, Colas is awake in From Blood and Ashland, as well as Sera and Nyktos. So the gang's all here. Gods are about to be waking up all over the place. They have stepped in it royally. And we are quite honestly terrified of what is to come. So we'll see you next time for A Soul of Ash and Blood, Part 1.